Today we are going to see. What if Bella fell for an Argent hunter? So let's get started. Bella Pav. Bella sighed as she took another drag of her cigarette. Was talk around the town about some new family moving in. And while gossip was something she usually wouldn't pay any attention to, people moving to Forks was something Bella made sure to know. Out of habit as a way to make sure it wasn't the Cullens who were returning. After Edward broke up with her, crushing her self-esteem before taking his family and moving. Well, for lack of a better word, Bella had basically become a zombie. And after that, once she started getting better, she turned to alcohol and cigarettes. Which hadn't been too bad. Bella snorted at that thought. It had been awful. It had taken Charlie throwing her in jail for the night for her to realize how much her life had spiraled out of control after Edward left. Now, 3 months later and a week after, she stopped going to weekly visits to her therapist. Bella could safely say she was over Edward and better for it. That, and she was now gay. Something she had been at first shocked about when her therapist first suggested it. But now, although Bella had not been with a girl, the thought of dating one was far more appealing than Edward. Belle smirked as she put out her cigarette, although her therapist and weekly meetings helped. Smoking was one habit she hadn't been able to give up. She had tried, but once Charlie saw her become worse, he allowed it as long as she paced herself. That, and he couldn't talk with his beer and baseball addiction. Another thing that changed was Bella's confidence, although she could still sometimes be shy. She could now hold conversations better and say no to people. Her new hobby a large part of the reason for her changes. As for the hobby, well, she and Charlie had been going to a gun range every weekend. Bella had discovered that she enjoyed shooting. Not only that, but it was also something she and Charlie both enjoyed doing together. Taking a look in the mirror, Bella stared at herself. She was a little on the thin side, still not fully recovered from her stint as a zombie. But overall, Bella was still pretty with brown chestnut hair, black highlights, brown eyes, and pale white skin. She had C-cup breasts and a decently sized ass. She couldn't remember where or when she got her hair done. But Bella assumed it happened while she was drunk. Running a hand down her body, Bella felt the changes to her body. Since she had started her weekly therapy, she had made sure to run daily and do a small workout routines to help keep her body healthy and in shape. Opening her closet, Bella selected a white tank top, black jeans, brown and black Converse, a black sweater jacket, and a white baseball cap with the words Ping written across in gray lettering. Bella smirked at herself once she dressed. She looked pretty good. Not only that, her clothes felt much more comfortable than the ones Alice used to force her to wear. Glancing at the clock, Bella noticed the time. Shit, I'm gonna be late, she muttered as she raced down the stairs and into her car. Over the past month, Bella had started working on her truck, one part at a time. Now it would never go above 55, but it ran smoother and sounded better than it ever did before. As she was driving, Bella glanced to the side at the house where her new neighbors moved in. Unlike the Cullens, these people lived with everyone else in town. Not on the outskirts. Slowing down a little, Bella watched as a girl about her age lifted the hood of what Bella assumed to be her car. If this was the new girl, then unless someone gave her a ride, she couldn't be making it to school today. Bella frowned at that thought. That may not exactly be true. While Forks was small, the girl could walk if she was determined enough. Bella sighed as she stopped her truck. Might as well see if she could help. She was pretty much friendless at the moment, especially after these past few months of chaos. Closing her door, Bella walked over to the girl, who looked to be trying to fix whatever problem she had in her car. Hey, are you okay? Bella asked as she neared the girl. The girl jumped away from her car, a little spooked, before turning to look at Bella. Yeah, I just can't seem to get this to work, said the girl. Bella frowned and looked at the car engine. Unfortunately, Bella knew almost nothing about cars. Sure, she worked on her truck, but that was an old vehicle. Well, you're the new student, right? I could give you a ride, said Bella. Thanks, that would be great, said the girl with a smile. I'm Allison. Bella returned the smile. I'm Bella. As they walked to her car, Bella snuck a peek at Allison. She was gorgeous with curly brown hair, fair white skin, and brown eyes. She was also wearing a red shirt, black jeans, black red sneakers, and a dark brown jean jacket. Funny enough, while we didn't exactly look the same, we did have similar coloring, with our skin, hair, and eyes. Bella held in a chuckle at the thought. As she drove, Bella and Allison talked about their likes and dislikes. getting to know each other on the way to the high school. So, what made you move? Asked Bella as she pulled into the school. Allison sighed. I honestly don't know, my family is always on the move. But there is usually a reason for it. This time though, my parents just said they felt like moving. So here we are. As they got out of the car, Bella immediately noticed the whispers and pointed fingers. With practiced ease, Bella ignored them and showed Allison the front office. You can get your schedule here, said Bella. Thanks, Bella, Allison replied with a small smile. No problem, muttered Bella, turning her head to hide her blush. Hopefully, Allison missed that. Bella almost jumped but stopped herself as Allison tapped her shoulder. Think you can show me where my first class is? Asked Allison, her eyes dancing with amusement. Yeah, laugh it up, Bella smiled with a shake of her head. Before leaning over to read Allison's schedule, Bella noticed they only shared 2 classes. Coincidentally, they shared both their first class and second classes. Walking down the hall, they talked, laughing as they made their way to class. Entering the classroom, Bella found her usual spot in the back and watched as Allison introduced herself. Hi, I'm Allison Argent, she said with a small smile and a wave. Why don't you take a seat next to Swan? Their teacher said, pointing to the only empty seat in the class. Bella smirked as Allison came over and sat down next to her. Well, I guess you're stuck with me now. I wouldn't have it any other way, Allison replied with a wink. Bella groaned as she went through the lunch line. She and Allison had to split up for their next classes but agreed to meet for lunch. Unfortunately, the whole cafeteria seemed to want and talk about Allison and how she showed up in Bella's truck. Grabbing her tray, Bella sat down at the Cullens' old table. After they left, Bella had taken over the table, and no one really wanted to sit by the only lesbian in Forks. Bella wasn't exactly sure how that got out. Bella's train of thought was broken when a tray hit the table. How long exactly does all the whispering last? Asked Allison curiously. Bella glanced around the cafeteria. Quite a few students were whispering and pointing at their table. They're probably surprised at you sitting with the town's current and only known lesbian. Bella replied nonchalantly. Now how would she take that? Is that so? Hummed Allison, chewing a bite of her pizza. Bella thought about it for a second but decided against asking Allison what she thought. If Allison had a problem with Bella being a lesbian, she could bring it up. So what's this I hear about you being dumped in the woods? Allison questioned in an odd tone. Were they still talking about that? That happened months ago. My ex-boyfriend broke up with me in the woods a couple of months back, Bella replied with a sigh. It was a pretty bad breakup on my end. His family moved that same day. Some things happened, and I eventually had to go into therapy. Allison stared with a surprised expression on her face. Are you okay now? I believe so, Bella replied after a slight pause. I'm out of therapy, and I have more of a backbone. Overall, him leaving was the best thing that could have happened. I didn't think that at the time. But I do now, Bella continued, noticing Allison's raised brow. After that, they spent the rest of lunch talking and getting to know each other better. Their conversation ranging from all the places Allison had traveled to what type of hobbies they both had. Bella had even told Allison about her new gun hobby that she had started in the past couple of months. While Allison shared her love of archery, if she and her family hadn't traveled so much, Allison was good enough that she could have competed professionally. Allison hid her hands in her pockets as Bella pulled into her driveway. After lunch had finished, she and Bella had gone to their classes, and she pretty much had a typical day for being the new girl. After the 5th or so move, she had kind of gotten used to the whole new girl thing. Glancing at Bella, Allison couldn't help but notice how beautiful she was. Especially when she smiled. When Bella had admitted she was gay, the only thing that stopped Allison from blurting out that he was too was because she had pizza in her mouth. That and she was more or less bi. Now, although Allison now knew Bella was gay, it didn't mean that she would be interested in her. Allison had to hold back a frown at that thought. Even though she was bi, she had never dated anyone, mostly because they had always moved too soon for a relationship. But also because she hadn't seen anyone she was interested in. Until she met Bella, that is. Well, I'm gonna go. Thanks for the ride and everything, Allison told Bella as she closed the door to the girl's truck. Bella rolled down the window. Want me to pick you up tomorrow? Allison had to pause at that. She had planned on getting her car towed, then driving to school tomorrow once it was fixed. But if Bella drove her, that was more time she could spend with Bella and see if she's interested. A small part of her whispered. Yeah, thanks, that would be great, Allison replied with a smile. Alright, see you tomorrow, Allison. Bella waved. Allison watched as Bella started her truck and drove off. Her smile widening when Bella parked at a house a little way down the street with a cop car in the driveway. They really did live close by. Turning around, Allison entered the house. Mom, Dad, Allison yelled as she closed the door. In the kitchen, her mom yelled back. Entering the kitchen, Allison saw her parents cooking while watching TV. So, how was school? Asked her dad as she came into the room. It was interesting, definitely better than the last one, Allison replied while thinking of Bella. Her parents glanced at each other. What, we noticed that your car was still here after you had left, said her mom. How did you get to school? Allison subconsciously smiled as she thought of Bella. Our neighbor down the road, Bella. She gave me a ride. Seems like someone has a crush, Aunt Kate announced as she came into the room. I don't have a crush, Allison defended weakly, which wasn't really a lie. She liked Bella, that was a bit more than a simple crush. So when do we meet her? Asked her dad as he changed the channel. Allison rolled her eyes. I just met her. You're not going to interrogate her. That and we're not even dating. So you do like her? Aunt Kate smirked. Allison blushed and hid her face in her arms. If her family is like this when they're friends, what are they going to be like if she starts dating Bella? Bella Pav. Bella quickly threw on a black tank, white jeans, and her brown Converse. A glance out the window showed Allison's car parked outside. Over the past couple of weeks, Bella and Allison had been spending almost all their time together. But today was different. It was the first time that Bella was catching a ride from Allison. Usually, Bella drove them to school in her truck. Racing down the stairs, Bella rushed out the door and crashed right into Allison. Oomph, groaned Allison. Feeling something soft, Bella looked down to where her hands were and jumped back, her face burning red. She had just touched Allison's chest. During these past weeks, Bella had come to realize that she liked Allison. Sure, she knew before that was attracted to Allison. But now, after getting to know her, Bella wanted to be more than friends. The only thing stopping her was that she wasn't sure if Allison liked girls or not. In the beginning, Bella has assumed Allison was completely straight. But then she caught some things that made her doubt that. Just last week, as they were changing for gym, Bella was almost positive Allison was staring at her ass as she changed. Another was yesterday morning. When Bella went to pick up Allison, she kissed Bella at the corner of her mouth. Now either that was on purpose, or Bella was just looking for something that wasn't there. Sorry, are you alright? Bella asked, concerned. She did kind of ram into her. I'm good, replied Allison as she got up from the ground with a small smile. That was quite the greeting. Yeah, I was rushing a bit, Bella muttered with a shy smile. She couldn't believe she did that. She knocked down the girl she likes. As Bella looked at Allison, she immediately thought back on the past few weeks. Now or never, Bella mumbled under her breath. Hey, can I? Bella started. I have a K, Allison started. Both girls stopped and laughed. You first, Bella nodded at Allison. Alright, Allison took a deep breath. I have 2 tickets to a gun show over in Seattle, would you like to go? Bella stared surprised. Yeah, sure, when is it? At around 5 today, we can make it if we leave right after school. Allison grinned. Great, Bella said with a smile. Sure, this may not be a date, but this would be the first time both of them went on a trip together. At that thought, Bella began to try and think of a way to ask Allison out. Now that her previous attempt failed. One more thing. Allison paused, then blushed a little. I will do why you think TT this Sue, she stopped and turned her head away. Bella blinked, surprised. Allison hardly ever stuttered and was usually never shy. What did she want to ask? What is it? Bella asked more than a little confused. Allison looked at Bella, her blush disappearing, and took a deep breath. Can this trip be a date? I know that it's different, guns and all that, but a movie or dinner is a pretty common date thing to do. And I wanted something different for us. Especially for the first date. And, rambled Allison nervously. Yes, Bella interrupted with a wide grin and red cheeks. Allison stopped before she could get any farther with her speech. Bella couldn't believe it. Here she was trying to figure out how to ask Allison out. But instead, while she was thinking, Allison asked her to go out on a date. Allison grinned back. Great, I wasn't sure if you would say yes or not. I was getting worried that you would say no when you didn't answer. Bella and Allison stood there and just looked at each other. After a few moments, Bella broke the silence. This is getting kind of awkward, isn't it? Yeah, agreed Allison. What do we do now? No clue. Why don't we get to class? Said Allison, though it sounded like more of a question. Yeah, let's go. Allison paused. Allison couldn't stop grinning all afternoon. Bella had said yes. She had been planning on asking Bella out for the past 2 weeks. Unfortunately, she couldn't figure out where to take her. It was actually her Aunt Kate who gave her the idea to visit the gun show. Her aunt had mentioned during breakfast going there once years prior. It was a fun place to see old and new weapons, along with the chance to win some items in a raffle or shooting competition. Now hours later, they were heading down to Seattle in her car. Glancing at Bella, Allison noticed her smoking another one of her cigarettes. She couldn't help but shake her head at that. Allison had tried one the second time she had seen Bella smoke. The result was a massive, coughing fit. Allison hadn't tried it again since. Smiling, Allison turned on the radio and started listening to music, chatting with Bella now and then during their drive to Seattle. Bella paused. Stepping out of the car, Bella put out yet another cigarette. She had ended up smoking quite a bit during the ride, both because of how nervous she was and because she was finally on a date with Allison. Bella took a glance around them. They had driven to the outskirts of Seattle and had parked in a massive grass clearing. Feeling a hand grab hers, Bella looked to see Allison. Smiling, Bella and Allison walked hands threaded together through the Parker cars and into the building. The building was made of brick and looked to be multiple stories high. On the inside, there seemed to be over 100 people. Some were carrying guns while others had different weapons, such as bows and throwing knives. To the left of them, there were 2 massive doors opened enough that Bella could see a large open field set up with a large number of targets. Grinning, Bella started to feel a little giddy. The place was amazing. Names. A gruff voice spoke. Bella's head snapped back to where the voice was. It was a large older looking man with the start of gray on his beard. He was sitting behind a small desk, not proportionate to his size. All in all, it was an odd look. Allison Argent and Bella Swan, replied Allison. The man scrolled down his list. Here you are. He crossed out their names and handed them a green bracelet. Make sure to keep those on at all times. You can't do much without them. He then grabbed a bowl full of tickets. Another thing, you need to grab a ticket. After you get a bracelet, you're automatically entered in our raffle. What are the prizes? Bella asked curiously. The man smiled and pointed to a far wall on the other side of the room. Take a look. Glancing at each other, Bella and Allison walked over to the wall. When they reached it, it took all Bella had not to gape at what she was seeing. Covering the wall were weapons of all sorts. There were handguns, rifles, snipers, bows, knives, a submachine gun, and much more. Bella glanced towards the back, her eyes widening. They even had a blow dart gun. This is incredible. Bella breathed out, looking from weapon to weapon. This is way better than what Aunt Kate described, Allison replied, agreeing wholeheartedly. So, now what? Bella asked, taking a look around the room. There was so much to do. Now, we explore and wait for the show to start. Allison paused. Hours later, Allison and Bella finished seeing all the gun show had to offer. They did everything. They even got to shoot a few guns at the leftover targets once the show was done. Allison peeked at Bella from the corner of her eye. Bella was grinning ear to ear as she watched everything proceeding. Currently, the man who had given them their bracelet was setting up a mic for the raffle. Smiling, Allison decided to thank Aunt Kate for this as soon as she got home. The date was turning out far better than a simple dinner and movie. All right, everyone, boomed the man speaking on the mic. My name is Rick, and I'll be calling out the winners of the raffle. He yelled out at the end. Allison could practically feel Bella vibrate next to her in excitement. Maybe if they won anything, they could go to the small shooting range in Forks for their next date. Now I'll call out 3 tickets from this bowl. 3 of you have their counterparts. If your ticket is called, raise your hand and come to the stage, said Rick with a grin. There looked to be over 200 people. Allison heard Bella mutter. Glancing around the room, Allison noticed she was right. There were a lot more people compared to when they first arrived. Now for the first ticket, boomed Rick. 340173. Allison and Bells checked their tickets. Nothing. A man raised his hand and ran towards the stage, whooping as he did so. Now for the next ticket, said Rick after checking the man's ticket. 749225. Again Allison checked her ticket. She sighed and looked at Bella, then stared. Bella was sporting a broad grin and had her hand raised in the air. Quick, go up. Allison smiled excitedly, giving Bella a little push to get her moving. Bella glanced back, flashed a smile, then walked over to the stage. Taking Bella's ticket, the man checked it, nodded. Then read off the last ticket. Unfortunately, Allison wasn't picked. Another man who took a bit of time getting to the stage was. He probably couldn't believe he won. Ultimately, however, it didn't matter to Allison as long as Bella was happy. Alright, that is it, let's move over to the wall. Rick yelled. Allison's ears started ringing, and she was a decent distance away from the stage. She winced as she saw Bella, hands covering her ears. A pained look on her face. That must have hurt. Moving forward, Allison met up with Bella at the wall and slipping her hand into the other girl's. Have any idea of what you'll get? Asked Allison curiously. Bella blushed a little, then nodded her head. That one. Allison looked to where Bella was looking. It was a Pearl M1911 beautifully custom engraved handgun. It had black roses wrapping around the barrel and grip, with a sleek silver finish. All in all, it was a gorgeous gun. That is beautiful, murmured Allison as she looked at it. Fortunately, the call action was large enough that the other winner never even glanced in that direction. Bella would be able to get the gun. Sure enough, when it was her turn. Bella got it when it was her turn. Half an hour later, after buying some ammo and Bella registering her gun, they were preparing to leave Seattle. This was fantastic, Allison heard Bella say as she drove. Allison smiled happily. Does that mean you would want to do this again sometime? Allison felt Bella grab her free hand. I would love to, she replied a little shyly. Allison grinned, thankfully it was dark out, hiding her blush. They didn't talk, but there was a comfortable silence between them as she drove back. One thing was for sure, Allison was definitely thanking her aunt for this. Bella Pav. Bella blushed and carried her gun NA case on her back as she exited Allison's car. Their date was by far the best date she had ever been on, though that wasn't exactly a hard thing to do. Edward had only taken her on a single date, Hitch was after her little incident in Port Angeles. Not much of a date. As Allison and Bella walked away from the car and to the door, Bella noticed Allison's face becoming redder and redder the closer they got. Her mind wandered a bit. Would Allison kiss her? She had never kissed a girl. The only experience she had was with Edward, which wasn't the best. He kept giving small chaste pecks and then said he couldn't do more because he was afraid he would hurt her. Glancing at the girl next to her, Bella took a deep breath, preparing herself. Then pressed her lips to Allison's. Her mouth felt amazing. Bella threaded her hands behind Allison's head, pulling her closer while Allison grabbed Bella's ass. Something she noticed immediately as they kissed, that and how much softer Allison's lips were compared to Edward. After another moment, all thoughts of Edward were thrown out from Bella's head, as Allison's tongue snuck into her mouth. Bella groaned into the kiss. She had never felt someone's tongue before. Breaking the kiss, Bella took a deep breath and stared into Allison's eyes. She didn't want to stop. But unfortunately, they both needed to breathe. Looking down at Allison's lips, Bella noticed a trail of their saliva still connecting them. Slowly moving forward, Bella licked Allison's lips, only now noticing the taste of grape on them. That was, Allison started trailing off street the end. Great, Bella asked curiously, not taking her eyes off of Allison's mouth. Very, replied a flushed Allison. Before they could start again, they were interrupted by the sound of the door opening. Jumping back from each other in surprise, they both turned to see Charlie. Dad, Bella said, a little embarrassed. This was not exactly how she wanted them to meet. I take it, you enjoyed yourselves, said Charlie. His voice laced with amusement. I'm just gonna go now, said Allison, her face burning red. See you tomorrow, Bella. Bye, Bella blushed and replied with a small wave. She had never blushed as much as she had tonight, it was getting to be ridiculous. I must say, said Charlie as they entered the house. She's a lot better than Edward. Embarrassed, Bella covered her face and ran up to her room. Allison Pav. Allison's face was still burning as she walked through the door. Mainly because of getting caught by Bella's dad. But also because of that kiss. So, how was it? Asked her aunt as Allison entered the living room. Fantastic, Allison replied with a grin, her blush calming down. Taking Bella to the gun show was a great idea. Thank you, Aunt Kate. I knew it would be. Aunt Kate replied with a grin. So when do we meet her? Think we could have her over for dinner tomorrow? Asked her mother as she sat down. Allison smiled at the thought of Bella meeting her family. I'll call and ask, but that should be fine. Bella Pav. Ding. Bella shifted nervously in front of the Argent's house as she rang the doorbell. The Argents had invited her to dinner this morning on the phone. Usually, Bella wouldn't have been this nervous. But this was the family of the girl she was kinda, sort of dating. The door opened, and a blonde woman with brown eyes appeared. She looked to be in her late 20s, early 30s. "You must be Bella," she said with a wide smile. "My name's Kate, I'm Allison's aunt." "Hi," Bella replied, shyly with a small wave. "Come on in," said Kate motioning inside with her hand. As Bella entered, she quickly noticed all the photos lining the wall. Most of them were of Allison holding a bow or doing some sport with her family as well as vacations. "There's the girl our daughter's smitten with." A voice sounded entering the room, from what Bella assumed to be the living room. "My name is Victoria, and this is my husband, Chris," said Victoria as Bella turned around to face them. "Hi, nice to meet you," Bella murmured. Chris Argent looked to be in his early 40s with brown hair and blue eyes. Victoria Argent was the same, but with a darker shade. And very short hair. Bella was surprised to see neither of them having Allison's brown eyes. "Bella," shouted Allison's voice from the stairs. "You're here." Bella felt a grin pull across her lips as soon as she heard Allison. "Hi, Allison." Allison smiled and pecked Bella at the side of her mouth. "Hi," Chris coughed. "Why don't we get started on dinner?" Bella smiled and nodded in agreement. She decided that she was going to attempt to be more confident. She had been acting shy ever since her and Allison's date. Taking a deep breath, Bella followed the family to the kitchen. Determined to act less shy and more like she did when she and Allison were just friends. "Would you like something to drink besides water, Bella?" asked Victoria as they started dinner. "No, thanks, I'm fine," Bella replied with a smile. "So far, so good. Can we get you some beer? Or perhaps bourbon?" Chris asked, his eyebrows raised. "No, thanks," Bella replied with a slight wince. She may not drink anymore. But that didn't mean it wasn't tempting. Especially when being offered shot of tequila, Chris continued. "Dad, really?" Allison interrupted. Bella smiled inwardly as Allison interrupted Chris. It was sweet of her to interrupt, but Bella knew that Chris was just looking out for Allison. Curious about the girl his daughter was interested in. Bella touched Allison's leg, stopping her from saying anything else. Letting her know it was fine. "You don't drink, Bella?" asked Chris questioningly. "Not anymore," smiled Bella. If she was going to be dating Allison, she might as well be as honest as she could. That, and she wanted to see if she could shock the Argents. Bella hid her smirk at the shocked expression on Chris's face. Along with the strangled noise, Allison made at Bella answering the question honestly. "Well, at least she's honest." Kate laughed. "You may yet survive the night." Bella smiled. She was starting to like Kate. She seemed to be the fun aunt type. "You ever smoke pot?" asked Chris suddenly, startling Bella. "Okay, changing the channel to something a little less conservative," interrupted Kate with a grin. "So, Bella, Allison tells us you like going to the gun range." Bella sighed quietly in relief at the subject change. She may have never smoked pot, but she did smoke cigarettes. And that was something Bella was still doing, and probably would not be giving up anytime soon. "Yes, my dad and I go up every weekend," Bella replied with a grin. Chris's eyebrow raised at that. But thankfully, he didn't say anything. After that, he interrogating seemed to come to an end, and Bella enjoyed the rest of the evening. By the end of it, she was sure even Chris was warming up to her even if he did stare at her oddly when she reached for some salt. "Allison Pav." Allison waved as Bella drove away. The dinner, while awkward at first, became much smoother later on. Heading inside, Allison walked to the living room where her family was gathered. "So, what did you think?" asked Allison with a smile. "I, for one, liked her," smirked Aunt Kate. "As did I," her mom agreed. Her face lit up as soon as she heard your voice. Allison blushed at that and turned to her dad. "I suppose if she makes you happy." Her dad grumbled a bit. Allison grinned, happy her dad approved. "It also helps that she likes guns," Chris smirked. "Dad." Allison rolled her eyes. Of course, that's what he focused on. "Bella Pav." Bella smirked as she shot the bullseye of her target. It had been a week since she had dinner with the Argents. And now, Bella, Charlie, and the Argents were at the gun range, shooting a variety of guns or with Allison's case, both gun and bow, and having fun competitions. Belle smiled as she saw Allison hit a target with the bow. This past week with Allison had been fantastic. They had been going to each other's houses, studying and just hanging out. Then a few days ago, they went on another date, which had gone just as well, if not better than the first. And although neither of them had asked the other to be their girlfriend yet, Bella was planning on asking soon. Bella's attention was drawn away from Allison by the sound of Charlie laughing. A bottle of beer in both Charlie and Chris's hands as they talked. It was surprising, at least for Bella, that both of their fathers and family got along quite well. She had assumed it would be a little awkward, okay, maybe more than a little. But then both of the men got talking about guns and sports. The conversation just seemed to flow from there. Kate and Victoria, on the other hand, were both out buying dinner for everyone. They had been at the range for the past couple of hours, and everyone was getting hungry. Turning back to the range, and Bella started to aim again. She had spent the past hour getting comfortable with her new gun. The feel of the weapon was much different compared to other guns that Bella had used before. She was about to start shooting again when she felt a hand touch her ass. "What are you doing, Allison?" Bella asked with a slight blush, looking back at Allison over her shoulder. "Nothing," Allison replied innocently, not taking the hand off of her ass. Bella turned back to the target while trying to ignore how nice Allison's hand felt. Bang, 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 she shot her new gun 3 times, and all 3 were either in He center or near the center of the bullseye. "You're getting good with that," Allison said as Bella set the gun down. "It's definitely different," Bella replied, smiling. That and she got it on her first date with Allison. So no matter what, she would have liked it. "Hey, Bella, follow me," said Allison while glancing at their parents. "Okay," Bella agreed, slightly confused. Why would Allison want Bella to follow her? Leaving her gun on a table with the safety on, Bella followed Allison, who looked to be leading her to a park canopy. She assumed it was placed here for all the people who wanted to eat lunch away from the sun. "All right," muttered Allison as they both sat down on a bench. "I've been thinking about this for a few days and well sigh." Allison paused, seeming to try and gather her thoughts. What was going on here? Bella couldn't help but wonder. Allison took a deep breath. "Bella, I didn't want to be cliché about this, and I'd rather be straightforward. So here it is. Will you be my girlfriend?" Bella blinked, taking a moment to comprehend what Allison asked. Once she did, her face broke out into a broad grin. Leaning forward, Bella captured Allison's lips, trying to tell her yes through her kisses. A minute later, they both pulled away, gasping for air. Though still nearly touching. "Yes," whispered Bella huskily. Allison smiled and kissed her in reply. After kissing each other some more, Bella started to feel Allison's hands wandering. She moaned as she felt her breasts being groped. "Having fun?" Kate asked, smirking, interrupting them before they could get any farther. They both groaned while pulling away. "I take it," Bella said. "Yes," Kate asked, amused. Bella and Allison both blushed, with Allison nodding her head. Kate hummed in thought and glanced behind her. "While we have time, have either of you been given the talk? For women," continued Kate before either Bella or Allison could open their mouths to protest. Bella could feel her face steaming from Kate's question. A quick glance in Allison's direction showed her in a similar state. Kate's smirk widened. "Well, lucky for the two of you," she trailed off dramatically. "I'm bisexual," she finished with a flourish. Bella covered her cherry red face with her arms. This was just too much. After that humiliating discussion, which Bella would forever deny having learned some new things from Kate, they all had a wonderful dinner that is if you ignored all of Kate's teasing. Now, Bella and Charlie were returning home, both of them deep in thought. Bella, thinking of how soft Allison's lips are, while Charlie was just happy for Bella, and that his future in-laws were much more friendly and approachable compared to the Cullens. Charlie's hands tightened on the steering wheel as he thought of the Cullens. That family had almost destroyed Bella. Sure, she liked to play it off, but Charlie knew how much she thought of them, even going as far as to say they were her second family. Charlie glanced back at Bella, who looked to be falling asleep, and smiled softly. He could never thank Allison enough for what she was doing for his daughter. Flashback. Charlie was sitting down, trying and failing to cook some food for when Bella came back. Then the door slammed, and Bella, in tears, came through the door. Her hair was a mess, along with rings under her eyes from the lack of sleep. It had been months since the Cullens left, and now Bella was attending therapy. Something she really needed after her drinking binge. "Bella," Charlie called, concerned. "What's wrong?" He had been sure she had been getting better in the past couple of months. Especially when he compared her to when she acted like a zombie. He had even for a couple of months ignored her drinking till it got out of control. "Charlie," Bella said, wiping her tears. Charlie hid a sigh and walked forward to hug her. If she almost called him Dad, then it was probably something pretty bad. Something that had taken little time to find out. But, even if she was called him Charlie, she was still his daughter. What happened? He asked, worried. Bella had gone to her therapy session, and he had thought, especially with the last few sessions, that all was going well. I discovered something during my last session. Or more like my therapist did. Bella said, pulling away and wrapping her arms around her chest. What? Charlie asked, confused. Charlie, I'm gay. Bella muttered quietly, turning her head to look away. Charlie's mouth opened in shock. What? When did this happen? Not only that, when did she start to show interest in women? I see, Charlie replied, not exactly sure how to respond. How exactly did parents react to this? You're not mad? Bella asked quietly in a confused voice. Charlie opened his mouth to respond, then closed it again with a click. How did he feel about the matter? Staying silent for a moment, Charlie examined how he felt at the moment. After a minute of silence, the only sound coming from Bella as she shifted nervously from side to side, he realized with a start that he was happy. After that, Cullen boy, he was sure Bella would never date another boy or man again. But if it's a girl, of course, I'm not mad, Charlie replied with a smile. It was true, he wasn't mad. Sure, his daughter was now gay, but he didn't have a problem with that. Why should he? It didn't matter if his daughter was gay or not. He would still love her all the same. That, and when he was younger, he worked with a lesbian couple on the force. They were some of the best cops he ever met. Really? Asked Bella, shocked. Her therapist, no doubt, warning her how some families took it, that in small towns. If anything, Bella, it's a relief, Charlie replied gruffly. He wouldn't have to worry about teenage pregnancy, or anything else of that sort. I was kind of getting worried after that Cullen boy. That was the best part of this matter. That boy had turned his daughter gay. If he ever came back, Bella would never go for him again. I now see why you choose to date that boy. He was the most feminine-looking one in the family. Charlie. Bella's mouth dropped, her face turning red. Charlie just smiled and laughed. His little girl. A couple of months later. Who's this? Charlie asked, hiding a smirk. Bella was sitting down on her bed, books spread about. But what made him happy was the other girl lying down on the bed, with what looked to be homework in her hand. This is Allison, Bella replied, shyly red-faced. She and her family just moved in last week. I see, Charlie replied. Well, I'll leave you to your studying. He was about to leave when he remembered the time. Would either of you like something to eat? I can order a pizza, asked Charlie curiously, wanting to see Allison's reaction. Whenever that Cullen boy was offered to stay for dinner or any type of meal, he just left. Charlie had personally never seen him eat. Both girls' heads shoot up and grin at him. That would be fantastic, said Bella. Any particular type? Charlie asked, looking towards Allison. Meat lovers? Asked Allison, glancing at Bella, her face blushing. Charlie nodded and started to leave the room. As he closed the door, his face broke out into a grin. Bella had finally made a friend. It had been almost 6 months since the Cullens left. In that time, Bella had become a zombie, alcoholic, smoked, and gone to therapy. Now that was all over except for smoking. Bella's therapist was happy with her and said her treatment was done. Cha! Arlie's smile widened as he heard both girls laugh. If the looks and blushes were any indication, those girls liked each other. Later that night, Charlie watched as both girls grabbed their pizza with Allison already taking a bite as they rushed back upstairs. Definitely better than Edward. End flashback. Charlie smiled at the memories. He had grown to like Allison even more once she and Bella started dating. He couldn't put his finger on it, but she seemed to be more real. Human even. Charlie laughed at his thought and pulled into his driveway. Picking up Bella, Charlie carried her up to her bed and set her down. Good night, Bella, Charlie whispered softly. Argent's living room. So are we going to talk about what's bothering you, Chris? Victoria asked. She and Kate had been waiting for Chris to discuss what had been bothering him for the past week. Chris watched the wood burn in their fireplace, deep in thought. Did either of you notice the mark on Bella's arm? Kate and Victoria glanced at each other confused. No. Is something wrong? First let's get this out of the way, Chris said, downing his beer. We all agree that Bella is probably going to be our daughter-in-law. Correct. Yes, said Kate bluntly. This may be Allison's first relationship, but I believe that they will stay together. Victoria nodded her head in agreement. She couldn't say what it was. But, she just knew those two girls would stay together. Chris nodded his head. I agree. He paused. Now, as for what I saw on her arm. Chris tightened his grip on his cup. It was the bite of a cold one. What? Kate whispered in a dangerous tone. Victoria was no better, her hand squeezing the couch in a death grip. Yes, but she's not one of them. Chris said. It's just a scar. I noticed it when she came for dinner. Did you find out anything? Victoria asked, knowing that Chris wouldn't tell them this unless he was sure, and had even worse information. Chris nodded his head. I researched all the people who moved. Appearances and all. The Cold One's coven is called the Cullens. Bella's ex. Not only that, there are 7 of them. That poor girl, muttered Victoria. Kate grimaced. She had met a Cold One. It was when she first started as a hunter. Their unnaturally beauty and their voice were used to attract their prey. The only reason she was still alive was because of Chris. A teenage girl, on the other hand, wouldn't have had a chance. Kate froze as the realization hit her. Did you say R? Chris frowned. It seems they have decided to move back to Forks, Alaska Denali residence. Alice paused 2 days ago. No, 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 no. Alice whispered, shocked. How had this happened? After they had left Bella, the whole family moved to Alaska, using this as an excuse to visit their cousins the Denalis. Carlisle had hoped it would help take everyone's mind off of Bella. But now, what is it, Alice? Asked Esme concerned. If Alice had the ability to cry, she would have. It's Bella. Immediately, everyone gathered in the living room, even the Denalis, who had been told about the Cullens human. Alice. Edward Said, frustrated. I thought I told you to leave Bella alone. Alice sneered at him in her mind, barely managing to hide her thoughts from him. Bella was her best friend, someone she dearly regretted leaving. The only reason she had agreed to leave Bella was because her visions showed a much happier Bella when Edward wasn't with her. How dare Edward assume to tell her if she could check up on her or not? Alice didn't believe for a second that Bella was Edward's mate. I just wanted to make sure she was okay. Although Alice had waited this long to check up on Bella, she didn't totally abandon her. Alice had left her quite a fortune, along with a Harl, EY that her visions had told her to leave for Bella. Unfortunately, going by Alice's current visions, Bella still hadn't checked her bank account and probably never will. What's wrong with Bella Bear? Boomed Emmett in a voice far too loud for the room they were in. Alice winced. That's just it. I can't see her anymore. Her future is dark and the only reason that would happen is if she was dead. She watched as the news sunk in. Most of her family had heartbroken expressions on their faces. Well, except for Rosalie. But Edward's was by far the worst. At first, his face was blank. Then he crumpled to the floor, wailing at the news of Bella's demise. Alice made sure to hide her thoughts at her family's reactions. Truthfully, the only one who actually missed Bella was Alice. Her visions showed her that eventually, everyone would be back to normal within the next 2 years, including Emmett. But Edward's reaction was, in Alice's opinion, the most exaggerated. Alice was sure he didn't love Bella. She had even gone as far as to ask Jasper to check. Unfortunately, he couldn't tell if Edward was in love with Bella or her blood. Can you see any visions of Charlie? Suggested Carlisle calmly. Alice frowned. She hadn't thought of that. I'll try. Her eyes took on a glazed look as her vision started. Charlie smiled down at Bella, sleeping in the passenger seat. I'm glad you're doing better, Bella. Alice sighed in relief. She was alive, which meant something else was blocking her visions. She's okay. She paused and hid her anger at Edward's relieved expression. Now that Bella was all right, they were probably going to move on with their lives. Something Alice did not want to do. As she was thinking this, an idea came to her mind. I think we should head back to Forks. No, Edward shouted. We agreed to leave and let Bella live her human life. Alice sneered again, this time letting it show on her face. Wrong. You decided on your own. Besides, aren't you worried about what's interfering with my visions? It could be a danger to Bella. That shut Edward up, along with making Carlisle consider what she said. Alice may be right, and we all miss Bella, said Carlisle. Edward glared at everyone angrily, then ran out of the room. Alice knew he would be hunting, no doubt thinking of a plan to convince everyone to stay away from Forks. Not this time, Edward, Alice muttered. A couple of hours later, and more fighting with Edward, which had honestly taken longer than it should have. They were on their way to Forks. Alice was sure Edward was going to be furious with her till they saw Bella. But at the moment she didn't care. They were going to see her best friend again. Feeling giddy, Alice jumped up and down in the passenger seat of their car. Jasper was driving, with the rest of the Cullens following behind in their own vehicles. However, both Alice and Jasper were much farther ahead. Alice wanted to arrive first, so they left a little earlier. Thinking of Bella, it occurred to Alice that Edward might try and get back together with her. She felt a cold rage come over her mind at that particular thought. Edward didn't know it, but Alice had watched as he broke Bella's heart and crushed her self-esteem. Unfortunately, she saw it as a past vision long after it happened. Otherwise, Alice would have never left. The way Edward broke up with Bella was just cruel. Her eyes glazed as a vision came. Bella and a girl were sat on a bench kissing each other with the unknown girl groping Bella. Yes, Bella said, pulling away slightly. A shocked Alice came out of her vision. Bella was gay. When did that happen? Although she didn't care that her best friend was gay, she was a little worried and curious about who the unknown girl was. Alice grinned, at least. Her visions of Bella were working again. Bella's moved on. Alice smiled. Jasper glanced at her. Well, darling, by the way, you're feeling, I'm guessing it's a good thing. Alice nodded. She's going to be so different. I'm getting a little worried about how Edward will take it. Why? Jasper asked curiously. Didn't he want her to move on? To get married and have a family? Alice turned her head to look out the window. He might have accepted it if he wasn't there. But as soon as we arrive and see Bella, he's going to want to get back together with her. Alice glanced slyly at Jasper. That, and the person I saw Bella kissing wasn't of the male gender. Jasper nodded, then froze as what she said registered. He turned to look at Alice, shocked. When did that happen? Alice shrugged in her seat. I don't know. She winced. And I'm not looking forward to Edward's reaction. Neither am I, darling. For the rest of their drive, Alice watched visions of Bella and Allison, whose name she had now learned from her visions. Alice squealed excitedly as she watched them. They're adorable. Bella Pav. Hey Bella, have you heard the news? She heard Allison ask on the phone. Bella smiled at her girlfriend's voice. No, what's happening? Apparently, we're getting some new students, 5 of them. Really? Huh, there probably have been more new students in the past 2 years than ever before in the history of Forks. Myself included. Allison snorted. Yeah, it is a pretty small town. Alright, I'm gonna finish changing now. See you soon, Bella said, reaching for her tank top. Okay, I'll pick you up in a couple of minutes, Allison replied, hanging up. Bella finished changing and checked herself in the mirror. She was dressed in a red tank top, skinny black jeans, a couple of black-white bracelets, and short black leather boots. Bella smiled sadly at the shoes she chose to wear. They were one of the pairs of shoes that Alice bought her. Bella grabbed an apple as she thought of Alice. Truthfully, Alice leaving almost hurt as much as Edward. But with the way he broke up with her, that pain would always top everyone else leaving. Thankfully she no longer felt that. She sat down on the front porch as she waited for Allison. What no one but her and Alice knew, was that half the time they went on shopping trips, they did other stuff as well, like stopping by the bookstore or going to the theater. When Bella had first asked Alice about it, Alice just replied, because you needed to get away from everything. Bella wasn't sure what that meant then and still wasn't sure what it meant now. But she did know that even though she was over Edward, losing Alice as her best friend still hurt. Bella smiled as Allison parked her car. She hadn't told Allison that the Cullens were vampires. Mostly because Bella wanted to move on with her life, vampire-free. And because she didn't want Allison to think she was crazy. But Bella did tell Allison their personalities and the things they did. She even talked about Edward. Though funny enough, when Bella was telling Allison about her past best friend, she realized that she knew Alice better than she did Edward. You ready for today? Asked Allison a little worried as Bella got in the car. Bella rolled her eyes and kissed Allison in greeting. Come on, it will be fine. Our families are supporting us, and it's no tea like either of us actually talks to the other students. Allison sighed but nodded her head in agreement. I know, but this is the first day back. And previously, you weren't my girlfriend. Is it really that big of a change? Everyone in Forks knows I'm gay. And before they all thought we were dating anyway. With how much time we spend together in and out of classes. This is just making it official. Allison thought for a moment. Then grinned. Nope, you're right. And if any of the new students don't know and try to hit on you, I'll just kiss you. Bella laughed. Don't worry about that. I doubt they'll even notice us. 10 minutes later, Bella wished she had kept her mouth shut. What's wrong, Bella? Allison asked, confused. Bella was groaning with her head in her lap. You know how you mentioned those 5 students joining us, Bella muttered, raising her head to look at her girlfriend. Yes, Allison trailed off. Those are their cars, Bella said, pointing at the back of the parking lot. Allison looked and saw a silver Volvo and Jeep Wrangler in the parking lot. How did you know that? Bella grimaced. The silver Volvo belongs to my ex. Allison turned to look at Bella, shocked. What? I know, I'm as shocked as you are. And more than a little annoyed. Bella replied. Why do you think they came back? I don't know, but hopefully, they'll leave me alone. Alice Pav. Alice skipped happily out of her car. They had reached Forks last night and were now going to get their schedules for their classes. She glanced at Edward and started thinking of a song, hiding her thoughts. She didn't want Edward to see her visions about Bella and her girlfriend, Allison. Will you stop that, Alice? Edward sighed, annoyed. Nope, Alice replied giddily. She was going to see her best friend again. And she was probably going to be furious with her. Alice flinched at the thought. She hadn't used her visions to see Bella's reaction to that. So she didn't know if Bella would forgive her or not. All the Cullens stared at Edward as he started to growl. What's wrong now? Rosalie demanded impatiently. She hadn't wanted to come back to Forks. Edward glared at a group of students. Hey are thinking crude things about my Bella and another girl. He growled. It's disgusting. Well, why don't we go in and get our schedules? Alice interrupted, hoping to distract Edward. He was going to take it well when he learns the truth. So she might as well prevent it as long as she can. Give Bella a few more minutes of peace. After getting their schedules, all the Cullens were sitting in their classes, waiting for them to start. Alice was with Edward and Jasper while Rosalie and Emmett were in separate classes. When is Bella Bear going to get here? Alice heard Emmett mutter under his breath. Their vampire hearing allowing them to listen to each other even when in different classes. Right, about now, Alice replied, smiling. Edward stared at Alice in confusion. How? I don't hear her truck. That made all the Cullens, but Alice pause. She's not in her truck, Alice replied but didn't bother to elaborate any further. Allison Pav. Allison tried to his her nervousness as they walked into their classroom. What was Bella's ex going to be like? Would he somehow charm Bella into leaving her? Allison wouldn't have been so worried, but she knew that when the Cullens left, Bella felt as if her second family left her. Allison, stop worrying, I'm with you, Allison heard Bella quietly say. Then Bella leaned in to kiss her. Allison felt her nerves calm as Bella kissed her. Who cares about Bella's ex? She was dating Bella now, not him. Allison quickly pulled back as she heard a growl from the classroom. Confused, both her and Bella walked into the room to see who was causing the disturbance. What she saw was shocking. Everyone, or at least all who came early, were sitting calmly in their seats. What shocked her was the beautiful students with them. Allison knew that these must be the Cullens. She looked at Bella, her face, no doubt screaming. You dated someone who looked like that? Allison watched as Bella glanced at the Cullens, and then sat down, pretty much ignoring them. Allison tried to do the same, but it was becoming increasingly more difficult as Bella's ex glared at her. Or more like who she assumed was Bella's ex. He had started glaring at her as soon as she entered the classroom. Allison turned to Bella and mouthed silently to her girlfriend. What's his problem? Motioning to her ex. Bella turned to look at what age was motioning to and glared right back at him. Surprisingly, Edward backed off, although Allison was sure that was more to the fact that Bella glared at him than anything else. From what Bella had told her, she used to be a wallflower who could almost never say no. Everyone walked over her. Allison smirked. If they were expecting the same Bella, they were going to be in for a rude surprise. Hours later, Allison and Bella were standing by her car in the parking lot about to leave. They had managed to avoid the Cullens pretty much all day except for the classes they shared with them, much of which was spent with the Cullens trying to gain Bella's attention. They had even skipped lunch because Bella knew they would corner them there. Allison turned at Bella as she sighed. She saw Bella looking at something, and could hear some footsteps approaching, and she just knew the Cullens had reached them. Love, we need to speak to you alone, said Edward, with what she supposed was a charming smile. Bella had told Allison who everyone was as they tried to avoid them, so she knew this was Edward. Allison glared at Edward. Who was he calling love? That was her girlfriend, as soon as that thought went through her mind. She saw Edward turn to glare at her, his eyes darkening until they were almost black. What the hell? Allison murmured confusedly. She felt Bella stand behind her, then pulled her into a hug. Whatever you want to say can be said in front of my girlfriend. Allison smiled as a feeling of warmth came over her. Bella had defended Allison, from her ex no less. Now that may not seem like much. But Allison's insecurities had been flaring all day. It seems she had been getting worried for nothing now. Bella, love, she's tricked you. She's making you believe you're gay. You need to get away from her. Edward Said in a condescending tone. Allison felt Bella tense and knew Edward Said the wrong thing. Edward, what's wrong with me being gay? Not only that, I thought you told me to move on. Bella asked in a voice far too calm. Edward sneered. It's disgusting. I don't know what happened, but don't worry, love. We'll fix you. Allison blinked, not sure what to feel as Edward spoke. Was he like this when he and Bella were dating? If so, that is Allison had no words. She did see Alice and Jasper take a step away from the rest of the Cullens. Allison frowned a little at that. Did that mean they were on Bella's side? Fix me, Bella trailed off. Now listen here, Edward. I don't love you. I don't like you. I don't even care about you. We have no relationship, nor is there anything for you to fix. So what gives you the right to insult me or my girlfriend? Bella finished furiously. Allison grinned, take that, Edward. Bella. Edward smiled, of course, you love me. You're just confused. Allison stared at him in disbelief. Was he delusional? Did he ignore everything Bella said? She looked around her and saw her expression mirrored by everyone around her. Edward, I'm gay. I'm dating Allison, Bella said. Bella, women can't date other women. Besides, what would Charlie think? Said Edward in a patronizing tone. Allison twitched, was he serious? If this weren't between Bella and Edward, Allison would probably be shouting at him. Or maybe she could shoot him with her bow. She heard Bella taking a deep breath, no doubt trying to calm down. Charlie couldn't be happier. Bella paused. But you know what? I'm done. Nothing's getting through to you. But maybe this will. Allison felt Bella turn her around and smiled as Bella kissed her. She heard a roar and would have stopped. But Bella just kept her hands around her head, not stopping their kiss. They broke apart a few seconds later, smiling at each other and completely forgetting their audience. Oh, right, Allison said, turning back to the Cullens. Edward was currently being headlocked by Emmett while Jasper was holding his arms behind his back. Did you guys really date? Allison asked Bella. Her ex was crazy. Did he try to attack them as they were kissing? Unfortunately, Bella replied dryly. Edward opened his mouth to say something, but Jasper covered it with his hand. I think we better bring him home. He drawled in a southern accent. Then he and Emmett pulled him away. It was an odd sight. It made Allison glad no one else was left in the parking lot. Here, Bella, said Alice holding out a piece of paper. It's my number. I know you don't want to see us, and you're angry, which you should be. She said quickly before Bella could speak. All I ask is for a chance to explain everything. Allison watched as Bella considered Alice's words. Truthfully, Allison thought Bella should accept. Out of all the Cullens, Bella was closet to Alice as her best friend. Not only that, Alice knew how much Bella had missed Alice. Bella hesitated for a moment, then took the paper. Maybe, she said, then opened the car door and got in. Knowing Bella was done, Allison got in and started the car. Staying silent, she left Bella to her thoughts as she drove them home. Bella Pav. Bella sighed as she played with the food on her plate. After her talk with the Cullens, Allison had brought them home. Or what Bella was coming to see as her second home. Mainly because Allison was here, but she did like Allison's family too. Are you okay? Allison asked, concerned, her plate already empty of food. Bella smiled at Allison's concern. Yeah, I'm just thinking about Alice's words. And her number on that paper. Well, started Allison, I don't know her personally. But from what you told me, and her attitude there, I think she was pretty genuine. Bella considered Allison's words but still couldn't decide. No matter what, Alice still left without as much as a goodbye. Then again, Alice did say she needed to explain some things. Bella looked down at the phone in her hand. Should she? Bella was saved from deciding as the rest of the agents walked in. Girls, we need to talk, said Chris gravely as they entered the kitchen. Both Bella and Allison glanced at each other, a little concerned. What had happened? But first, interjected Kate, I need to speak to Bella. You two can talk to Allison while we talk. Bella and Allison were now getting more and more confused. But by the looks on the adults' faces, something serious was going on. Bella got up and followed Kate as she left the kitchen. While she was waking, she felt her phone vibrate. Bella glanced down at the screen and frowned as she read the words on the screen. Tell them, it said, which was odd as the sender had no name. And Bella didn't know what she had to tell. Though she had a sinking feeling, it was from Alice. No one else she knew was that cryptic. All right, Bella, said Kate, with the both of them now sitting down on Kate's bed. While my brother explains to Allison about the family business, we are going to talk about a few things. Mainly about your ex and their family. What about them? Asked Bella. Now she wasn't stupid. Bella had a feeling where this was going. However, she wasn't sure how the Argents had found out about the Cullens being vampires. But even if they knew, Bella was not going to say anything till Late did. Just in case she was wrong and what they wanted to talk about was something different. Kate sighed and leaned back slightly. During dinner, when we first met you, Chris noticed a bite on your wrist. He didn't mention anything for a while, it could have been a trick of the light. But when he was sure he told us. Kate's face turned serious. Bella, we know about the Cullens. And about the vampire bite on your wrist. How? Bella asked, pale at the memory. How had Kate known, or any of the Argents for that matter? Because of what we do, said Kate. We're hunters. We normally hunt werewolves, which are real by the way. And then a cold one or vampire when we run into one. Bella stared wide-eyed at Kate. She had, of course, considered the existence of hunters. She, unlike the Cullens, considered if any other supernatural creatures existed. She hadn't believed vampires were the only ones. Now she knew that there were werewolves and hunters. I know that this is a lot to take in, said Kate after giving her a minute for the news to sink in. But, it's true. Bella nodded her head. I know, I personally never thought vampires were it. But I never thought it would be confirmed. She paused as a thought hit her. Why are you telling me this? Because Bella, you were being manipulated by them. Kate grimaced. Cold ones' beauty and voices are used to attract their quarry. I have fallen into the trap before as well. So I know what it's like. Bella frowned, taking in this new information. That would explain why she would give in to Edward. She was a wallflower, well she was one. But being with Edward made it worse. In fact, Bella couldn't even remember a time she told him no. Why am I still alive then? An idea was starting to form. And it wasn't looking good. That, Kate hesitated. I really don't know. They should have killed you after you were firmly enthralled with them. But they let you go. It's mind-boggling. I know why, muttered Bella in horrifying realization. I was a pet. When Edward broke up with me, he said I was a distraction, a pet, a way for them to appear human. It was all for their act. They still should have killed you before leaving, though, Kate pointed out. Bella winced. Right, the Argents didn't know about their particular lifestyle. The Cullens are the vegetarians of the vampire world. They only drink the blood of animals. Kate gaped in shock at what she said. How's that even possible? Bella grinned at Kat's reaction. Did she look like that when she was told? I know, but their leader, Carlisle. He came up with it centuries ago. And once he turned the others, he converted them to his diet. Of course, there have been mishaps. But overall, they have stuck with drinking from animals. Bella, Kate said after a moment. Hesitation lacing her voice. How much do you care about these Cullens? The only one I care about is Alice, she was my best friend. Even if I am mad at her at the moment. Why? Bella asked, confused. First, let me ask, are you sure Alice never manipulated you? Maybe using her voice to cause you to do something you didn't want to do. Bella nodded her head a little sheepish. Many times, but that was only for shopping. Even then, she didn't always take me shopping. I mean, sure we would go for a while. But then she would take me to different places, bookstores, movies, lunch. Alice told me that I needed to get away from everything. Kate frowned. Why would she say that? Oh, right, you don't know. Most of the Cullens have gifts, and Alice can see the future. Or at least potential futures. Bella said, pulling out her phone and showing the text she received from Alice. Kate stared at the screen and nodded her head thoughtfully. Then, she knows what we plan to do. Before Bella could reply, her phone vibrated. I do, was written on the screen, the text sent from the same number as before. Well, there's nothing we can do about that. We can't fight a seer. Kate sighed, not looking happy at that fact. No worries, already left with my husband. You will have no interference from us. Have Bella explain the rest of our past clan's gifts. Kate smiled as she read the text. You know, I may hate the supernatural, but I think I can grow to like your friend here. What's going on? Asked Bella. She wasn't sure what the texts meant between Alice and Kate. Why would Alice leave the Cullens? And why would Kate worry about fighting a seer as soon as the thought crossed her mind? All the pieces fell into place. You're planning on killing the Cullens, aren't you? Kate raised an eyebrow. Yes, is that going to be a problem? You are dating and will eventually marry into a hunter family. Bella blushed at the mention of marriage. After her mom, Mari. Age was not something she thought she would want in the past. But with Allison, and if things continue the way they are, she could see that happening. She stopped that train of thought before she went further off topic. Other than Alice and Jasper, I don't have a problem with it. A lot has happened since I was with them, opening my eyes to things I would have never noticed then. Good, smiled Kate. I'm not sure how to feel about Alice or her husband. But they did leave, so they shouldn't be a problem. As for you, well, make a hunter out of you yet. For now, why don't you tell me about the rest of the Cold One's gifts? To be honest, the only one left is my ex, Edward's gift. He can read people's minds. Kate's mind went blank. You dated someone who could read your mind? Bella blushed, embarrassed. He couldn't actually read mine. I guess that's what started his interest. But yes, it's something I regret now. Especially now that I know, I'm gay. So a mind reader, huh? Shouldn't be too difficult. Why? Asked Bella, intrigued. What would they use against a mind reader? Bella probably shouldn't have been as interested as she was currently. It was her ex's family that she had once felt a part of. But after this past year, Bella didn't feel anything for them. The only one she even remotely cared about had left. Not only that, but the rest had also treated her as a pet, someone that was unimportant. Like her choices didn't even matter. So she felt no guilt in being interested in something that could harm or kill them. Kate glanced at her, an odd look in her eyes, then smiled. It wasn't her usual, teasing smile that Bella had gotten used to. This was a cold smile. Come with me, I'll show you. Kate led her to a back room upstairs. It was hidden in one of the unused bedrooms. We didn't have a hidden room in this house. So we improvised. They were in what looked to have been another bedroom, but with a wall in place hiding it from any who looked inside. From the other room, the walls inside the room were covered with weapons of all sizes. Snipers, handguns, rifles, submachine guns, and other weapons. Such as knives and bows as well. This is incredible. Ella breathed out as she took everything in. I thought you might like it. Especially with how much you like the gun show on your and Allison's first date, Kate responded with a grin. Now, what I am going to use is this sniper here. Along with incendiary ammo, she said, pointing to the gorgeous black and silver sniper on the wall. Bella said nothing as she admired the sniper. She didn't know what to say. All of this was incredible. And quite the information load. What now? Now, Kate said, slowly dragging out the word. We go downstairs and see how Allison took the news on having a family full of hunters. They should have finished by now. As soon as Bella heard the words leave Kate's mouth, she rushed out the door and down the stairs. She was anxious to see her girlfriend again and was not sure how Allison was going to take all this. Finding out your girlfriend used to date a vampire, along with being told the family you thought you knew are secretly hunters of the supernatural, was astonishing. Bella couldn't really describe it. Entering the kitchen, Bella found Allison. Still sitting in the spot she left her in. Allison was staring at Chris and Victoria. In shock, if her dropped jaw was any indication. Bella winced. It looked as if they had finished talking, and Allison was still processing everything she was told. Probably not the best time to enter. Unfortunately, before she could leave, Allison recovered from her shock and noticed her. Bella, Allison said in a clipped tone. Yeah, Bella asked, a little worried. Was Allison okay? Allison stood and walked towards her. Still confused, Bella stayed where she was. Her confusion was slightly abated when Allison started kissing her. Bella groaned into the kiss. Unfortunately, Allison broke it before Bella could really get into it. What? Bella mumbled her confusion back. She was getting sick of being confused and not knowing the full story. Allison stared at Bella, not saying a word. Glancing at the Argents, Bella could see the resigned expression on their faces. I'll be outside. See you there, Allison said, speaking to Bella for the first time since she came down. Bella watched as Allison left the room, flinching a little when the door slammed shut. Did the kiss mean they were all right? She wasn't exactly sure how Allison felt about Bella dating a vampire in the past. I take it your talk didn't go well, Bella muttered, bringing her attention back to Chris and Victoria. Understatement, Chris replied, downing a glass of beer. How do you feel about it, Bella? Asked Victoria, curious. It was a lot to take in. Victoria nodded her head in sympathy. I can imagine. She paused and hesitated for a moment. Do you think you can speak to Allison for us? Of course, Bella said. She had already planned on doing that. I'm sure Allison will come around eventually. She just needs some time to process everything. Chris nodded and gave Bella a small forced smile. Whatever was discussed in this room did not turn out well. Heading out of the Argent's home, Bella spotted Allison sitting down on the grass, her head in her arms. Bella hurriedly walked over and sat down, waiting. She would let Allison decide if she wanted to talk or not. I feel as if my whole world has been flipped upside down, said Allison after a few minutes of silence. How am I supposed to act now, T? Had I know that I have been lied to my entire life? I mean, it's no so bad. They only lied about their profession. But what bothers me the most is how they hid all this from me, all the moving, the missed birthdays. Which admittedly was more Kate than my parents. But the worst, in my opinion, is that they never planned on telling me, shouted Allison in frustration. Dad said that he had hoped for me to live a normal life, away from all the supernatural. It's the reason Dad and Kate didn't start training me to be a hunter. Bella rubbed her girlfriend's hand in an attempt to soothe her. And don't think you're off the hook either, Bella. Why didn't you tell me about you dating a vampire? Demanded Allison angrily, although she did nothing to remove her hand from Bella's. Bella frowned and stared in space. I wasn't sure how, she confessed. You could have thought I was insane or making it up. Not only that, after they left and I had my downward spiral, I wanted to put the past behind me, a fresh start. Would you have ever told me? Asked Allison, looking away from her. Bella hesitated but ultimately decided to be honest with Allison. I don't know. Allison sighed, then threaded her fingers between Bella's. At least you're being honest. I thought about it, and if I had dated a vampire, I probably never would have told anyone. Mainly for the same reasons as yours. It's insane to think about, the supernatural beings from books and legends being real. I felt the same way, still do really, Bella said softly. Allison turned fully to face her. Don't think this means I forgive you. I understand why you kept this a secret. But I'm going to need some time to think everything over. It's okay, take as long as you need. Bella replied. Even though that hurt a bit, she understood why Allison needed time. At least Allison didn't break up with her. Bella and Allison both stood up and looked at each other. Bella could see the hesitation on Allison's face and waited. It was Allison's choice. After a second, Allison leaned in and pressed her lips against hers. Bella held in a smile as they kissed. At least Allison could still kiss her. Bye, Bella. See you all call. Allison mumbled quietly after a little hesitation. Bella nodded her head and watched sadly as Allison entered her home. Hopefully, Allison could come to a decision soon. Allison Pav. Allison ignore. Her parents still sitting down in the kitchen as she ran upstairs to her room. Talking with Bella had felt good. She felt as if some weight had been lifted off her. Still, she was a little angry at her girlfriend at the moment. Or more like, she tried to be angry. Then she thought of Bella and couldn't help but smile. That was her real reason for telling Bella she would call instead of seeing her tomorrow. If she saw her, she would forgive her instantly and start kissing her. Truthfully though, Allison didn't have a reason to be mad at Bella. As she had told her, if she had dated a vampire, she would have most likely done the same thing. Who she was mad or more like furious at, were her parents and Kate. Unfortunately, Bella was in the crossfire. Her secret, plus Allison's families were just too much at the moment. Finding out her family was from a centuries-old line of French hunters was a lot to take in. Allison sighed as she laid on her bed. She caught sight of her phone on her knee. GHTS and resisted the urge to call Bella. Why did she have to have a gorgeous girlfriend who she couldn't stop thinking about? Rolling over in her bed, Allison tried to fall asleep, but couldn't. Why was she having so much trouble? Sitting up, Allison grabbed her phone and opened it, a smile sneaking its way across her face as she saw her screensaver. It was a photo of her and Bella, both of them grinning with their arms wrapped around each other. She raised her finger and traced Bella's face. As she was doing so, a stray thought appeared that caused Allison to drop her phone in shock. How had she not realized this before? Allison glanced down at her phone and opened the messaging app. There was no way she was going to bed, letting Bella think she was mad at her. Especially now that Allison realized she was in love with her. Allison's fingers hovered over the keys, thinking on what to send. She couldn't exactly write "I love you" in her text. Well, she could, but she would prefer it to be in person and maybe a little bit more special. "I forgive you," she wrote after a few more seconds of thought. She would keep her discovery to herself for now. She wasn't positive here. Bella stood. Allison would wait and see for a little longer before admitting to Bella that she loved her. Closing her phone, Allison grinned, feeling giddy as she lay in her bed. "I love you, Bella," she said, testing out the words aloud. Wrapping herself in her duvet cover, Allison watched the night sky from her window. Although today had been a big shock, with unexpected and unwanted surprises, it has still been good. She knew, of course, that she would eventually forgive her family. But for now, she was going to enjoy her newfound revelation, and think of ways to reveal to tell Bella that she was in love with her, maybe roses. Allison muttered, deep in thought. Bella Pav. Bella couldn't help but smile as she finished changing and caught sight of her phone. She had been pretty worried last night. ND was not exactly sure how she and Allison's relationship would progress. Then as she was about to fall asleep, she heard her phone go off and read Allison's text saying that she forgives her. The weight that had fallen off of her shoulders when reading those words had been quite the surprise. Sitting on her bed, Bella scrolled through her contacts, her finger hovered over Alice's name. She needed answers. Once she knew Alice would know. That, and Bella was also a little curious about why Alice left when she knew the Argents would kill her family. Bella frowned at that thought. She didn't care for the Cullens any longer. But the idea of her girlfriend's family killing her old family was odd. Breathing deeply, she clicked Alice's name. Time to listen to what Alice wanted to speak about. "Hi, Bella," she heard Alice say as she picked up. "Hi," Bella replied. "So you said you had some things to explain?" "Yes." Bella could hear Alice smile as she spoke. "And don't worry, I'll explain everything. Including why I was willing to leave my family to be killed by your girlfriend's family. I must admit to being lost when it comes to that," muttered Bella. "About that," Alice hesitated but continued. "It's because of the way they treated you. The family really did treat you as some pet. I got a vision a couple of months ago that made me furious. They would have moved on in a year or two. And Edward would have found a new love. Someone who they would treat as they did you. Though she would marry into the family." Bella closed her eyes and sighed. It was difficult to hear that a family, why she had come to think of as her own in the past, would do that. Thankfully though, she had moved on since then. So it didn't hurt nearly as much as it would have if she were told that months prior. "What else?" Bella asked. "Well, truthfully," Alice started with a smirk audible in her voice. "You've become more family to me in a year than the Cullens have in the past 5 decades of living with them. So I'm getting revenge for you by not telling them anything and leaving them without any knowledge of the danger they are in. That and the constant putting down of my husband and how he struggles with our diet. Completely ignoring the fact that he feels everyone's bloodlust combined pretty much sealed the deal." A smile crawled across Bella's face as she listened to Alice. She wasn't going to forgive her yet. Nor was she going to decide when she would, so Alice wouldn't see that with her gift. But it was nice to listen and talk with her best friend again. She had missed her this past year. "Then why did you leave?" Bella questioned. Alice sighed sadly and replied. "Because I saw you happier as a human than I ever did as a vampire. Although you need to know that I would have never left you if I had seen what Edward would say to you in the forest when he broke up with you." "Did you see me with Allison?" asked Bella with narrowed eyes. "No, actually, that came as a surprise," admitted Alice. Bella laid her head down on her pillow and thought over what she should do. Should she forgive Alice now that she knows the full story? After a minute, she came to a decision, a wicked smirk appearing over her face. "Bella," whined Alice. "Come on, that's not fair." She had decided she would forgive Alice but hadn't decided on when to forgive her. It would mess with Alice's visions, causing Alice to see Bella forgiving her. Then not, then forgiving her months in the future. Laughing, Bella changed the subject to something else, knowing how much it would annoy Alice, which was kind of the reason she did it. 1 hour later, once her talk with Alice was over, Bella started to make lunch. Cooking was something she hadn't done in a very long time. But Charlie had texted that he would be home around noon, so she wanted to surprise him. As Bella cooked, she thought over everything that had happened these past few weeks. She and Allison were still going strong, or well, good. Bella still hadn't talked to Allison since last night, not counting the text she had received. The Argent family were hunters. Not just any but werewolf ones. Finally, all the Cullens but Alice and Jasper were going to be killed if they weren't dead already. Bella stared and flipped the meat she was grilling on autopilot, lost in her thoughts. Why was she all right with the Argents killing, not only Edward, but the rest of the Cullens too? Frowning, she thought back and tried to find when this change occurred. Unfortunately, she couldn't think of anything. Finishing up, Bella placed the meat on a plate for her and Charlie and turned to clean up. As soon as she did so, she stilled. There in front of her was some beer. Not what Bella preferred, but she had tried it before. Seeing that bottle caused her fingers to switch slightly, while her throat became somewhat parched. Closing her eyes, she took a deep, shuddering breath and turned away. Oh, it was tempting, but Bella was not about to sink back to what she had been previously. Calling her a wreck was kind. That and she was not about to risk anything that may damage her relationship with Allison. Drinking that would probably be one of them. Especially, Alley after telling her family she no longer drank. Bella paused as she thought about her past drinking habits. Was that why she felt okay with the Cullens dying? Because without them in her life, she essentially crashed. Stepping outside, Bella chuckled and grabbed a cigarette from her pocket, lighting it, the smoke instantly calming her nerves. Honestly, the way she was thinking was making it sound as if she went through some sort of drug withdrawal. Bella felt her mind calm as she sat on the porch, smoking to her heart's content. Smoking was one addiction she doubted she would be able to give up. Taking another drag of smoke in, Bella waited for Charlie to arrive. Charlie had been called early in the morning about some emergency that had happened. He had caused quite the disturbance in his rush to get to the station. If it weren't 3 in the morning at the time, Bella wouldn't have bothered going back to sleep. Bella smiled as Charlie pulled up, not bothering to put out the cigarette. She had just started, and it would be a waste to put it out now. Instead, she went inside and grabbed both their plates. They could eat outside, which would allow Bella to smoke as much as she wanted. Hi, Charlie. Bella smiled. She saw him relax slightly at her words. Hi, Bella, how have? He stopped and stared at the plates in her hand. You cooked? No, I bought it. Bella retorted with a small smirk. One thing was for sure. She was definitely closer to her dad after her downward spiral than before when dating Edward. Charlie smiled and grabbed his plate from her, sighing as he sat down. For the next couple of minutes, they ate in peaceful silence. Unfortunately, all good things come to an end. Charlie turned to look at her for a moment. Then after a slight hesitation started to speak. I'm sure you're curious about what happened last night. Bella nodded her head. That had to be the first time Bella had seen Charlie so rushed. Not only that, nothing ever happened in this town. So an emergency happening was big news. Well, Charlie started gruffly. I'm not sure how to tell you this, Bella. But the Cullens died last night. At least we're assuming so. A numb feeling fell over Bella as she heard the news. It felt as if everything was hitting her at once. The Cullens, a family she had considered as her own last year, were dead. Although she knew it was going to happen, it hadn't really sunk in until this moment. She thought back to the other Cullens. Edward, she couldn't care less about. But Emmett, someone who she had played games with and thought of as a brother, was now dead. A feeling of sadness washed over her. For a moment, Bella almost cried. Then she remembered the words Alice had said, how the Cullens would have moved on in a couple of years and would never think of her again. She thought of Edward's words, of how he crushed her self-esteem when he broke up with her. Or how he revealed how his family only thought of her as a pet. Bella ruthlessly crushed down any sadness she may have felt at their deaths. She was no one's pet. Nor was she going to feel anything over the Cullens' passing. Bella's fist clenched slightly as she remembered Edward's trying to kill Allison. Although Allison hadn't seen it at the time, Bella had seen the glint of amusement in Rosalie's eyes when Edward tried to attack. Good riddance, Bella mumbled under her breath. The Cullens now being dead was all in all a blessing. They wouldn't be able to cause trouble for Bella or Allison now. What was that? Charlie asked, confused. Nothing, Dad. So what exactly happened? Bella asked quickly, trying to cover her mistake. Charlie looked at her oddly but continued. Strangely enough, it was a fire. By the time the department had arrived, most of the house, cars, and woods were charred. He sighed. Them living so far away from the town, and no neighbors to call for help, caused us to be too late. Not even their bones were recovered. For a single horrifying moment, Bella considered the idea that the Cullens escaping the fire. They would know exactly who to blame. She was after all the only person they knew of that knew their secret. Thankfully Bella was able to scratch that idea out based on her text messages. She was positive she would have at least received a warning from the Argents if that was the case. Why is it being a fire strange? Bella inquired, barely paying attention. Charlie gruffly muttered, before speaking steadily. It rained heavily last night. It would have been fairly difficult for a fire to start. That and its forks. I can count on one hand the number of fires we have had here in the past decade. Bella's mouth clipped shut. She hadn't even considered that. Taking a glance around her, she took in the wet grass, mud, and puddles. Honestly, she had gotten so used to the rain here in Forks that she no longer even registered when it rained or not as long as she was inside. It's highly irregular, but not impossible. There were no signs of tampering that we could find. Bella hid a sigh of relief at that. But impossible. Her heart froze. Does this mean you don't think it was an accident? Accident, Charlie said with an odd smile. Of course, it was. I've already sent out the necessary paperwork. There was something about the way Charlie said those words. It was almost as if he knew they were killed, but was more than willing to cover it up, knowing how much he hated the Cullens, which only increased when they left. Well, Bella didn't think it was out of the realm of possibilities. Bring. Bella's phone went off, interrupting them. Charlie smiled. Go ahead, Bella, answer it. Thanks for lunch, and have fun talking with Allison. Thanks, Charlie, Bella replied with a grin as she hugged her dad. She opened her phone and felt her smile widen. Allison texted, asking if Bella wanted to come over. Grabbing her jacket, she slipped it on and left. She and Allison had a lot to talk about. Charlie Pav. Charlie smiled slightly, watching from the window as Bella left for the Argents. Although he had told Bella a lot, he hadn't told her everything. For one, while this may be a small town, but that didn't mean he was a lousy detective. That and last night, he had been quite lucky to wake up when he did. When he was getting into his car, he had seen Kate, parking her car in the driveway. Her tires covered in mud. Charlie was surprised to see her carry a large duffel bag into the house, along with a gasoline container. Now though, that was odd, he didn't think anything of it until he reached the Cullens' place and saw the house. Or what was left of it. As soon as Charlie saw the area, he knew Kate was connected. He knew he had two choices in front of him. He could do the right thing, which was to report Kate and jail her. Or he could do what he wanted to do. What he knew he should do, even if it wasn't morally right. Charlie glanced around him and didn't even hesitate. While the other cops and fire department were attempting to put out the fire, Charlie scoured for any evidence that might have been left behind. Then chucked it into the fire. Any footprints he found he destroyed. Tire imprints too. Grabbing a water bucket, Charlie made sure not to put out the fire, but to wash away any traces of gasoline that remained. Once he had finished, he joined the rest in putting out the fire. Charlie relaxed in his chair as he swallowed a gulp of cold beer. In all honesty, he didn't feel a lick of guilt, even though he knew he was pretty much covering up a murder, which if the Cullens had stayed, he would have been doing anyway. Something Bella didn't know was that after she had been sent to the hospital, Charlie had been in a rage. Not at Bella, of course, but at the Cullen family. The only reason he hadn't taken his shotgun and hunted them down was because he needed to be there for Bella, and the Cullens had left town. Otherwise, well, he would have been telling Bella they moved away anyway after he was done with them. Truthfully, Charlie had been extremely tempted to go over there and torch the place himself. He almost had when he heard the Cullens had returned. The only reason he hadn't was he knew Bella had moved on and no longer cared for the Cullens. That and he probably would have been caught, thrown in jail, leaving Bella a mess to deal with. She didn't need that, especially now that she was pulling her life back together and dating Allison. Charlie smiled slightly as he thought of the Argents. He didn't know why Kate went after the Cullens. It may have been because of Bella, who was dating her niece. Or something else entirely, but Charlie felt indebted to them all the same. It was funny, he knew Kate had killed tonight, but he still felt more comfortable with Bella going there than he ever did when she went to the Cullens. Chuckling, he turned on the TV and went to the sports channel. It no longer mattered anymore. The Cullens were taken care of, and his daughter was safe. He was willing to do far more than a cover-up if it meant protecting his daughter. Allison Pav. Allison stared at the fire in the living room as she waited for Bella to arrive. Her family had, for some reason, asked her to text Bella and invite her over. Not that she had a problem with that. If anything, she had been planning on seeing Bella today anyway. But them asking was odd. Mostly though, Allison was getting worried. The way her family was acting. It looked as if they were preparing to love again. It had happened enough now that she could easily recognize the signs. Hey, Allison heard Bella whisper shyly. Whipping her head to the door, Allison saw her girlfriend, who was looking very beautiful. And while she happy to see her, she also wasn't sure how to break the news that she might be leaving to her. Hi. Allison replied, just as quiet. She saw a thoughtful look cross Bella's face before a small smirk appeared. Walking forward, her girlfriend hopped onto her lap and laid her head against her chest. Allison blinked down at Bella, more than a little surprised at the action. But it was not an unwelcome one. Alice. Anne smiled and wrapped her arms around Bella, ignoring the looks of amusement her mother and Kate shot her way. Well, now that we're all here, started Mom, we have something to discuss. She paused. With both of you. What is it, Mom? Allison asked curiously, and with a hint of dread. They weren't going to move today, were they? Her mother sighed. A problem has arisen, we have discovered a tribe of some sorts. There are many of them, and when I went to speak to their elders, I found that they have a treaty with the council, which we must uphold as they are not werewolves but shapeshifters. A hint of a grimace crossed her lips. No matter how barbaric I think they are, imprinting. Ha, her father picked up where her mom left off. Unfortunately, included in the treaty are some terms. One of which is that any hunters residing in the area must let them know within 24 hours. Which would have been fine, even if we didn't, if their alpha would accept our reasons for not doing so. I take it they didn't, said Aunt Kate now speaking up. Her dad glared down at his cup. No, they didn't. The past alpha was willing. But someone else overheard us telling him who we were as soon as we told him our last name. A boy named Jacob Black challenged him for the position of alpha. He sighed. He won and refused, telling us we have the next couple of days to leave Forks. Why? Allison asked. They had never even met him, why would their bane set him off? Her mother coughed. Well, that's actually because of you and Bella. Not that we blame you, dear, said her mother quickly catching Bella's look. It seems that the boy heard about you two dating. Something he wasn't particularly happy about. Allison heard and felt Bella groan. He still hasn't gotten over his crush on me? Bella asked. Evidently not. Allison murmured softly. Bella had long ago told her of Jacob. So she knew of his crush on her girlfriend, something she couldn't really blame him for. Allison herself had pretty much developed a crush on Bella the day they met. So, what's going to happen now? Allison asked, knowing, but hoping against the answer she knows is coming. We're moving, Allison, Mom said with a sigh. Allison felt Bella tense against her as her mom spoke. I see, Allison said flatly. Of course, this had to happen just as soon as everything was going well for her minus the family revelations. The room was still for the next few minutes. Neither Allison or Bella knew what to say. But before anything else could occur, her aunt broke the silence. Oh, come on, laughed her aunt, Kate. Tell them already. All right, chuckled her mom. How would you like to come with us, Bella? Bella Pav. Bella stared shocked. When she had heard that the agents were going to move, she had felt her heart stop. What would have happened to her and Allison then? But now she was being invited to go along with them. I think you broke her, snickered Kate. Oh, but what about Charlie? Bella asked, blushing slightly. She'd been so lost in her thoughts, that she'd forgotten to give the Argents her answer. Do you think he'll say no? Asked Victoria with a raised brow. Bella opened her mouth to say yes, then closed it. Would Charlie say yes? Or would he let her go? If it was anyone but the Argents, Bella wouldn't even have to think it the answer, but it wasn't. This was her girlfriend's family. And Charlie liked them. I don't know. Bella sighed finally. How about I speak to him? Chris said, finishing his glass. Before Bella could say anything, Victoria spoke. That would be perfect. Bella hid a smile as she watched Victoria decided everything. It felt nice, like she was accepted and welcomed into the family. You know, Bella never said for sure if she would come. Allison joked. Well, started Kate with a teasing grin. It was kind of implied. But if you don't want it, you don't have to come, Bella. I do, Bella shouted quickly, then blushed a deep red at the amused looks shot her way. We know, winked Kate, though that may not have been the best wording, Allison whispered in her ear. I don't think I'm ready for marriage yet. Bella's face blushed an even deeper red. Shifting slightly, Bella pinched Allison's thigh. Ouch, said Allison, amused. Her plan now failed. Bella decided to do the only thing one could do in a situation like this. A tactical retreat. Turning her head, she buried her face in Allison's shoulder, using her hair to hide the rest of her blushing face. 3 days later, Bella groaned exhausted as she flopped onto her new bed. Her new room was dark, with light gray walls, black curtains, and a beautiful black rug. Her bed had colored purple sheets, mixed in with red and black pillows. Altogether, Bella loved her new room. Although she still needed to unpack, she had a few boxes stacked in the corner of her room just waiting to be opened. Bella and the Argents had spent the last couple of days driving to Beacon Hills, California. Minus Kate, that is. She had something to take care of and would meet them later. No one was sure what the wolves would do, so everyone rushed, packing only the essentials. Victoria had told the two girls that she would buy anything they missed or forgot here. That or Charlie could pick it up and mail it to them. Bella smiled as she thought of Charlie. It turns out, Chris didn't need to convince him. He was all for Bella moving away with the Argents. And when Bella had asked him why, Charlie explained that he didn't want her to be separated from Allison and that she was going to be 18 in a year anyway. Plus, he could visit her sometime in the future. Still, there was something odd in the way he said it. Like he had already been expecting them to move. After that, He helped her pack up all her clothes and any items she may need. Unfortunately, neither Charlie or the Argents thought her truck would make the trip. So she rode with Allison, which, in Bella's opinion, was perfectly fine. Now, they were in Beacon Hills and will be starting their first day of school tomorrow. Interestingly enough, she and Allison were going to be in the same year. Bella had failed some of her previous classes, so she now had to retake them or take new ones to make up the credits. It was too bad Allison wasn't here. Unfortunately, Victoria had put her foot down. They would not be sleeping with each other and would have their own rooms. Bella laughed softly at the memory. Allison had looked crushed when Victoria told them that. Thankfully, as she was leaving the room, she saw it that they might have the occasional sleepover. Though, in Bella's opinion, Victoria was a devious person. She had placed the girls' rooms right next to each other, with only a single wall separating them. Knowing the knowledge that the other teen was on the other side of the wall would taunt them both to sleep. She couldn't imagine how bad it was going to feel once they had sex. With that thought, Bella drifted off to sleep. Or tried to. That thought stuck around in her mind for the next hour. It was best not to think of her girlfriend in that way before trying to sleep. Allison Pav. Allison groaned softly, her head resting against Bella's shoulder. Now that they had moved again, Allison was going to be the new girl. Something she had been and would probably continue to be for many times to come. The only redeeming aspect about this whole thing was that Bella is going to be with her. Tired, smirked Bella. Allison sighed. Bella really had no idea. For once, Allison would like to stay in one place for more than a couple of months. Then again, if she hadn't, she would have never met Bella. In a way, come on, girls, you need to get moving. Don't want to be late on your first day now, do we? Her mom said with uncommon enthusiasm. What's got you in such a chipper mood? Allison questioned curiosity. Usually, Aunt Kate was the one to act like this, not her mom. Oh, you'll see later tonight. I have something for both of you, but we'll talk about that later, said her mom, a calculating look in her eyes. 15 minutes later. It took them a while, but they finally made it to the high school. It honestly shouldn't have taken them this long. But Allison had made a few wrong turns and pretty much lost her way from there. Ignoring that though, they had made it here in time. We are so late, Bella said, stepping out of the car. In. Maybe a little. Allison winced slightly, the ringing bell making a loud and headache-inducing sound. God, do I hate that sound. Before Allison could get any further, her cell started to ring. Taking a look at the screen, she saw it was her mother. Go on ahead, Bella. Allison began sitting down on a bench. I'll catch up once I'm done. All right, see you soon. Bella smiled, and with a kiss goodbye, left Allison to talk to her mother, which was sort of strange. Her mom had already talked to her when she and Bella were leaving. So why did she need to call now? Really, Mom, said Allison while searching through her bag. Calling on my first day is a little overdoing it. Especially since we just saw you not even 20 minutes ago. I'm calling to see if you forgot anything. Her mom replied. Nothing except a pen. Allison groaned, closing her bag. Oh my God, I can't believe I actually forget a pen. Not to worry, ask Bella for one. Her mom said in an amused tone. Allison blinked. Okay, forgot I could do that. Thanks, Mom, I gotta go now. Love ya. Love you too. Sorry to keep you waiting, said a man dressed in a suit. Bella trailing behind him. Oh, not at all, Allison replied, a little confused. Was someone supposed to show them around? She gave a questioning look to her girlfriend, who just shrugged in reply. So, Your transfer papers said you're both from Forks. But it's not where either of you grew up. No, but I did live there for a couple of months, Bella a little longer. Then it was time to move again. Which is the usual for my family. Allison explained. Well, hopefully, Beacon Hills will be your last stop for a while. They stayed silent for the rest of the walk until reaching their class. Class, these are our new students, Allison Argent, and Bella Swan. Please do your best to make them feel welcome. Allison stood awkwardly next to Bella, as the man introduced them. Just great, being the new girl. Something she would have to go through again. Luckily she wouldn't be alone this time, giving a small smile to their new classmates. Allison headed for the back of the classroom, Bella following right behind her. Hey, Bella, do you have an extra pen? Allison asked as they sat down, not noticing a boy holding out a pen for her. Bella raised a brow at her but handed her a pen, all the while looking like she was struggling to hold back a laugh. Confused, Allison took the pen and turned back to see the boy in front of her. Still holding out a pen, something she hadn't noticed before. Thanks, but I'm good, she said awkwardly. She now knew why her girlfriend was trying to keep herself from laughing. Focusing on the class, Allison ignored the downtrodden face of the boy in front of her and attempted to ignore Bella, who had stopped her attempt not to laugh, and was now snickering quietly beside her. Well, begin with Kafka's Metamorphosis on page 133. The teacher started. 45 minutes later, their class now over, Allison and Bella were now opening their lockers for the first time, which were also, fortunately, next to each other, placing some of her unneeded books inside. Allison turned to see the boy from her previous class staring at her from his locker across the hall. Weird, she muttered. What is? Asked Bella, closing her locker and swinging her bag over her shoulders. The boy who had previously offered the pen, Allison explained, then smirked as her girlfriend started to snipe her again. It was interesting, when around Allison, her girlfriend, would blush a lot and could become shy sometimes. But around other people, it was as if she had a whole different personality. Well, not entirely, it was similar with just a few small differences. Didn't make her love Bella any less. Something Allison still needed to talk with Bella about. That jacket is absolutely killer, said a blonde. Where'd you get it? My mom was a buyer for a boutique back in San Francisco. Allison with a smile. And you are now my best friend, smiled the blonde, who then turned to Bella. You as well, where did you find that jacket? Bella was wearing a black leather hoodie jacket. It was something Bella used to wear when she went out drinking. Bella had told Allison she had found it on her after one of her drunken binges and had kept it ever since. A friend gave it to me. The blonde smirked slightly. Must have been quite the friend. Allison's first clenched slightly. That was actually something Allison and Bella had takes about. If during one of her drinking episodes, she had lost her virginity or not. Now it would be fine if she did. Allison wasn't like that. She loved Bella all the same, virgin or not. But she had been worried about if Bella was raped or anything of the sort. And just couldn't remember. Thankfully, Charlie had shared her concerns and had Bella tested at the hospital early on her journey to becoming sober. The results came back clean. Bella was still a virgin, she hadn't been raped or anything. But now, this blonde was insinuating that Bella had done something to get the jacket. Wanting to nip this in the bud, Allison wrapped an arm around Bella's neck, then lightly kissed it. Thank you, Allison smirked. So it was a bit of a lie, as Allison didn't get it for Bella. But so what, she was not about to let one accuse her girlfriend of something she didn't do. Allison played at that thought. Truthfully, she would probably do the same thing even if Bella really did what she was accused of. Oh, so you're both like that? Blonde smirked. Is there a problem? Asked Bella with narrowed eyes. No, in fact, this makes things all the better. I won't have to worry about one of you trying to steal my boy friend like some of the other girls here would like to do. Before the blonde could say anything more, a boy came up and kissed her. Hey, Jackson, blonde murmured, smiling. Who are they, Lydia? Jackson asked. The now named Lydia smirked. My new best friend and her Bella. Allison opened her mouth to correct Lydia but stopped herself. Calling Bella, hers wasn't precisely inaccurate. Plus, she liked the sound of it. Her Bella. Allison hummed thoughtfully. Is that so? Well then, it only seems fair the Bella becomes my new best friend then. Jackson smirked. What happened to Danny? Lydia asked, surprised. Allison and Bella looked at each other, lost as to what they were talking about. But abused at their now designated best friends. We had another disagreement, but it's fine, and who knows? Maybe when Danny comes around, we'll make a trio. Jackson joked. So anyway, Lydia rolled her eyes though you could still be the amusement dancing there. This weekend, there's a party. A party? Inquired Allison. Yeah, Friday night. You both should come, Jackson replied. We can't. It's family night this Friday. Allison said, getting an odd look from Bella. Thanks for asking. You sure? I mean, everyone's going after the scrimmage. Jackson asked, then looked questionably at Bella. You mean like football? Allison asked, her curiosity piqued. In the time Allison was in Forks, there hadn't been a single sports game of any type. Not that her or Bella minded. Football's a joke in Beacon. Jackson chuckled. The sport here is lacrosse. We've won the state championship for the past 3 years. Because of a certain team captain. Lydia smiled, running her hand through Jackson's hair. Well, we have practice in a few minutes. That is, if you don't have anywhere else to be. Jackson said this time, asking Bella the question. Not at all, I think it will be interesting to see a sport I've never heard of before, Bella smirked. Well, I was going to, Allison. Started quickly but was cut off by Lydia. Perfect, you're coming, Lydia claimed, leaving no room to negotiate. Lydia looped her arm through Allison's and walked to the next class. Bella and Jackson right beside them, watching in amusement as Lydia pretty much dragged Allison to their next class. A few minutes later, Allison, Bella, and Lydia watched the lacrosse team come out onto the field. Who was that? Allison asked, looking at the boy from her earlier class. Bella grinned when she saw what Allison was looking at while Lydia looked confused. Lydia hesitated for a moment before saying, I don't know. Why do you ask? Bella laughed this time at the memory, no longer trying to be quiet and causing Allison's face to burn red in the process. She wouldn't nearly be this bothered in the past. But Bella's laughing at the situation made her feel embarrassed. The boy there offered him a pen, but she completely missed it and asked me for one. It looked as if she was ignoring him. Bella explained once her laughter calmed down. Somehow, Allison knew that while Bella did find the situation funny at the time, she was now finding Allison's embarrassment more entertaining, which, in a way, was fine. Allison loved hearing her girlfriend laugh. Her voice, while not exactly raspy, it had a tinge of something that she just loved hearing. Then again, if she thought about it, it probably came from all the smoking Bella did and continued to do. Really? Asked an amused Lydia, her lips quirking upward. Shut up, Bella. Allison pretended to groan, a smile on her lips. The sound of people lapping brought their attention back to the game. Apparently, the boy playing goalie prevented the whole team from scoring. By the expression and excitement around everyone, this wasn't an everyday occurrence. Bella Pav. Hours later, Bella and Allison were now done with their classes and stopped to catch a bite to eat. After that, they spent the next couple of hours seeing everything the town had to offer. While not much, it gave them something to do. On the way home, she and Allison talked, distracting Allison from driving. So how did look out? Bella screamed. The car skidded to a stop. Oot, not before a sick thud was heard from outside the vehicle. What was it? Asked Allison, breathing quickly. I could have sworn I saw a dog, Bella replied, already unbuckling. Sure enough, a white dog was lying down on the ground, whimpering. Oh my god, I hit a dog. Allison panicked. What are we going to do? The rain that started suddenly pouring, not helping. Hey, it's all right. We can take the dog to the clinic we say a while back, Bella said, rubbing a calming hand down Allison's back. Picking up the dog, Bella set it down on a blanket in the back of Allison's car. With that, Allison drove them to the animal clinic. Once they reached there, Allison hopped out and started knocking on the door, getting soaked as she did. While Bella opened the trunk and picked up the dog, for some odd reason, the dog was fine with Bella holding her. Which, while unexpected, it was far better than having a ticked-off and growling animal in her arms. A little while later, Bella and Allison were standing watching the pen boy, who they learned was Scott, tend to the dog. I think her leg is broken, Scott explained, examining the dog. I've seen the doctor do plenty of splints. And do it myself and then give her a painkiller for now. That would be great, Bella said in a slightly colder tone than she probably should have used. But she was starting to get annoyed at the way Scott was looking at her girlfriend. One whose shirt was soaked through, leaving little to the imagination. I have a shirt in my bag if you need it, Scott said after a slight pause and another glance at Allison. Oh, no, but why? Allison started but stopped as she felt Bella wrap her leather hoodie around her shoulders. Bella wasn't sure why, but the thought of Allison wearing anything of Scott's made her extremely uncomfortable. Feeling her phone vibrate, Bella opened it up to see a text from Victoria. "Hey, Allison, we need to go. Your mom says dinner is getting cold." "Okay, let's go. Thanks for the help, Scott," said Allison turning to him. "Would we be able to see the dog once she recovers?" They had found out the gender while Scott was making the splint. "Yeah, sure," Scott replied with a smile, not taking his eyes off of Allison. Bella felt her eye twitch. Just what she needed, a boy to have a crush on her girlfriend. Getting a little jealous now, Bella grabbed Allison's hand and dragged her to the car. Before they could leave, Scott stopped them. Or more like Allison, the rain barely drizzling now. "So, I was wondering, is it really family night on Friday? Or do you think maybe you'd like to go to that party with me?" If Bella had a cup in her hand, it would be crushed. Was Scott actually asking her girlfriend out on a date? In front of her? Now she wouldn't have been as jealous if her girlfriend was just gay. Unfortunately, Allison was bi, and a boy was taking an interest in her. After Edward, could anyone really blame Bella for not having the best self-esteem? Or for thinking her girlfriend was becoming less interested in her? Allison stared shocked at Scott. Did he just ask her out in front of her girlfriend? She glanced at said girlfriend and saw Bella starting out the window with grinding teeth and clenched fists. So she was mad, which Allison couldn't blame her for being. If a boy did this to Bella, she wasn't sure what she would do. "Yes, Scott, it's really family night," Allison confirmed for him flatly. While that might be a lie now, the idea had some merit. Maybe her family could do something this Friday. Along with Bella, of course. It didn't even need to be said that she was family. "Oh, okay. Maybe another time," Scott asked anxiously. "I'm seeing someone, Scott." "So no," Allison replied, glancing at Bella. Scott's face looked crushed, and for a moment, Allison could have sworn his eyes flashed gold. But it was gone as soon as it appeared. "Oh, okay," Scott said morosely. Maybe Allison should have felt bad. But she was still a little mad at him for asking her out. In front of her girlfriend, who she loves no less. Well, that just happened. Allison sighed as she got behind the wheel. Feeling Bella's gaze, Allison turned to see Bella staring at her. "What is I?" Bella's lips slammed into her own, and for the next 30 seconds, Allison and Bella made out like the teenagers they were. "What was that for?" asked Allison breathless as they broke apart. "Nothing, I just felt like kissing you," Bella replied, a playful smile on her face. Allison just laughed, almost saying, "I love you." But thankfully didn't yet and held back. That could be saved for somewhere else. Preferably not in a car while it had just rained. Bella paused. "So, what's the surprise?" asked Bella as she and Allison entered the kitchen. After taking the dog to the animal clinic and meeting Scott, Allison had immediately driven them home. They would have gone in to see Victoria immediately, but both girls had to first clean themselves up. While the Argents did seem to like Bella, she wasn't sure how Allison's parents would react to their daughter coming home with smeared makeup and a soaked-through shirt. Then again, Bella did live here too now. They would have seen her makeup-smeared lips as well. "Well, actually, we found there seems to be more than one," Victoria said while turning the oven off. "What do you mean?" Allison asked, confused. "I thought you had a surprise for us. Why would you find one?" "For one, our surprise is this," Victoria smiled, handing Bella and Allison 2 small boxes. Opening them, both girls let out a gasp as they saw what was inside. Laid down in the box were multiple ring-throwing knives. Kate had shown the girls some of hers before she left to go somewhere, and they had left forks. "Why are you giving these to us?" Bella questioned. Victoria sighed, a worried look entering her eyes. "Girls, you need to understand. We're a family of hunters, mainly werewolf hunters, but that's beside the point. The point is, the Argent name has made many, many enemies all over the world." Victoria hesitated for a moment but continued. "Including this town." "Wait, what do you mean, Mom?" Allison asked, shocked. "It's nothing really. Lake took out a pack of werewolves here many years ago. Unfortunately, we don't know if we missed any, and if so, who might still living here. So because of that, I'm giving these to you two only in case of an emergency. Keep your guns and knives stashed in your vehicles, and please be careful." "We will." Allison nodded seriously, although neither of them had met a werewolf. The worried look in Victoria's eyes and the precautions she was taking with them left them with no doubt about how dangerous these werewolves were. Wait, did you say vehicles? Asked Bella with a raised eyebrow. My truck is still in Forks. Victoria grimaced. About that, it's the other a surprise to me. You've received a gift from your friend Alice. It's in the garage. Bella nodded her head in realization. While Victoria had accepted, Bella was going to have Alice as a friend. A supernatural vampire friend. It didn't mean she liked it, nor did she want to see Alice in Beacon Hills or anywhere near their home. Which Bella could understand, the Argents are hunters after all. Want to go check it out, Allison? Bella asked her girlfriend. Sure, let's go, Allison responded with a grin. Entering the garage, Bella noticed immediately what was her surprise gift. Alice had gotten her a black Taiwanese Shadow Rocket motorcycle. Thank you, Alice, Bella murmured happily under her breath, running her hand down the seat. She wasn't sure how she knew. Bella shook her head. Of course, Alice knew this was something Bella wanted. She had been planning on saving and purchasing one of these as soon as she had enough saved up. You are so giving me a ride on this, Allison said, breaking Bella from her thoughts. Just tell me where you want to go, Bella smirked. Who knows, she already wore a leather jacket. Maybe it was now time to get some leather pants. It would help protect her and look good at the same time. Opening some bags on the side, Bella found them empty. Well, all except for one which held a small note. Hey Bella, so I know you were going to get this yourself in the future. But I figured a late birthday present couldn't hurt. Am I right? And this may come to help in the future. Bella started smiling as she read the message but stopped when they read the end. What did Alice mean by, this may help her in the future? You all right, Bella? Allison asked, frowning. Yeah, it's just this message that had me a little confused. Bella explained, handing it to her girlfriend to read. Allison frowned once she finished it. I don't know what it could mean. Though she did say may. So who knows, maybe you won't need it for anything but driving around. Allison paused as a thought occurred to her. Do you even know how to drive a motorcycle? Blushing, Bella shook her head no. Never had one, I figured I would be able to learn later after buying one. Sniggering, Allison said, then it looks like you'll be riding with me for now till you learn. Neither of the two girls had a problem with that arrangement. A couple of days later. It was now Monday, and Bella was eating lunch with Allison, Lydia, and Jackson. Lydia was, very pleased with them missing the party, but understood when Allison told her about Scott. Are you serious? Lydia demanded, with Bella in the car not even a couple of feet away. Yup, Allison confirmed. While those two talked, Bella and Jackson bonded over her new dislike over Scott McCall. I would have broken his nose. Jackson sneered. Scott had injured Jackson's arm at lacrosse practice the other day. Something Jackson wouldn't forget anytime soon. Trust me, I considered it, Bella muttered, extremely grateful for the fact that Scott wasn't here at the moment. She didn't want to see him make eyes at Allison. Then, why didn't you? Jackson smirked. Because Allison told him she was dating someone, Bella explained. Although if he tries to ask her out again, she trailed off with a scowl. Jackson nodded his head, though he was kind of hoping McCall didn't take the hint and asked Allison out again. He would love to see the thrashing Bella would give him. So you two coming to the game tomorrow night? Lydia asked, changing the subject. Maybe, Allison replied before taking a bite of her sandwich. With that, they finished up lunch and headed to the rest of their classes. Allison pav. Allison hummed happily as she drank down her hot chocolate. They did end up going to the lacrosse game on Saturday night. Though while it was interesting, it was neither her or Bella's thing. Hey, Bella greeted, kissing her girlfriend. Hey, yourself, Allison smiled. Things were going exceptionally well. Her relationship with Bella was slowly but steadily growing, and her school and life are also going great. Finally, her life was being normal, with no more moving around for unexplainable reasons, which while she now understood, werewolf hunting and all. She would prefer to finish her last year in high school with Bella and hopefully move on to college. Again, with Bella, Allison smiled as she glanced at her girlfriend, though this smile was a little nervous. She could never find the perfect time to confess to Bella, so since she couldn't, she might as well do it now when they were having a typical day with no one to bother them. Till school, that is. An idea started to form in Allison's mind. Bella, how would you like to take a break from school? Maybe we can go to the beach or something, Allison said, setting her mug down on the counter. Sure, Bella said in agreement. I could use a break. Great, let me go grab my keys, Allison said excitedly. 1 hour later, finally, they were at the beach. It took them a while to prepare lunch and find a beach to go to. But eventually, they did, and now here they were. Laying a towel down on the sand, Allison swallowed as she watched her girlfriend come out of the car. Bella was wearing black jean shorts and a red bikini top, which left quite a lot of skin exposed. It was the least amount of clothing Allison had seen Bella wear. For either of them really, as Allison was wearing a similar outfit. Just with a shirt over her top. So, what made you want to go on this little trip? Bella asked as sunbathed on the sand. Her cheeks reddened slightly at Bella's question. Thankfully her face was already red from the sun. So Bella didn't notice the difference. We haven't really gone on a date since Forks. So I thought, why not? Allison mumbled shyly, although she wasn't shy because of the question. It was the thought of confessing to Bella. Her heart was starting to beat faster, and she was becoming more and more nervous at the thought. She heard Bella hum, then felt her body press against hers. Well, I, for one, think it was a great idea, her girlfriend replied, moving a hand up and down her stomach. Was that the only reason? Maybe, Allison giggled happily, swatting Bella's hand away playfully, hiding her nervousness. How do you tell your girlfriend that you love her? Allison didn't know, and at this point, she couldn't wait. I have something to tell you, Bella. Bella's hand stilled at her voice. What is it? Allison took a deep breath, and everything came pouring out. Now I don't know exactly how you feel, which is most of the reason why I haven't said anything. But I like you, Bella. I really like you. Or I did, now though. She struggled for a moment but continued. I love you, Bella. Now I don't expect you to say it back or anything. I just couldn't keep it in anymore. And I couldn't find the right time to tell you either. Allison was cut off by Bella's lips covering her mouth in a breathtaking kiss. Allison's mind went blank as they kissed. Bella pulled away first as they both gasped for breath. I love you too, you know. Bella laughed, though you could hear the relief in her voice. I wasn't sure if you felt the same way. I swear you made my heart still for a moment when you said you did like me. Sorry, Allison replied, smiling, her face glowing. Although she said that, she wasn't sorry at all. Knowing that Bella felt the way she did, Allison couldn't even describe the way that made her feel. So what now? Asked Bella with a small suggestive smirk on her face. Her face heated up at Bella's question again. We're not doing that, Allison hissed, embarrassed. We're on a beach, in public. Besides, my parents would kill you. A devious smirk spread across Bella's face. And if we weren't on the beach? Quote, Allison covered her face with her arm, groaning. Bella, though there was no mistaking the smile on her face. Bella Pav. An excited squeal echoed from upstairs, causing Bella to smile. Looks like Allison discovered Kate's back. Entering the kitchen, Bella sat down at the island and waited for breakfast to be made, all the while making sure to avoid Victoria's eyes. Not wanting to see the amused smile on the older woman's face. Last night, Bella and Allison had gotten home extremely late, which would have been fine unfortunately. As they were going up the stairs, the lights flicked on, showing Victoria at the top. Allison's mom had taken one look at their ruffled clothing, smeared lipstick, and swollen lips, before breaking into uncontrollable laughter. Apparently, Victoria had pictured a scene like this happening ever since Allison turned 14. Only, it wasn't with Bella or any girl for that matter. You can laugh, you know. Bella grumbled, seeing Victoria's shaking shoulders. No need to hold it in on my account. Victoria glanced at her and paused, then laughed softly. I can't help it, and why your lips are still slightly swollen, by the way. It's not that funny. Bella sighed, rubbing her mouth with her arm. Although she was embarrassed, Bella was also feeling kind of good. She had been getting more and more comfortable with Allison's family, and no longer felt as odd as she did when she first moved in. While it may not have been that funny, the circumstances and seeing a scene I had feared happening for years, well. Victoria shrugged. I'm just glad I actually like you, and Allison didn't end up with some dumb teen. Did she forget my age or something? Bella thought to herself, confused. Last I checked, I'm a teen. Catching the look on Bella's face, Victoria explained. While you and Allison are only 17. You, for one, are more mature and… Victoria stopped and trailed off, remembering Bella admitting to being an alcoholic in the past. You know what, forget I said anything. Okay, Bella replied, amused. She could see exactly what Victoria was thinking, it was written all over her face. I wonder how'd she react to me smoking. Now then, why don't you help me finish cooking breakfast? I could use the extra hand. Victoria said, wiping her hands with a towel. Bella pretended to think it over, then nodded. Sure, what are we making? Crepes, Victoria replied with a pleased smile. For the next half hour, Bella and Victoria made breakfast, all the while smiling at Allison's happy laughter coming from upstairs. Allison pav. So, her Aunt Kate grinned, glancing at her face. How are you and Bella doing? Allison blushed but replied to what would no doubt only be the start of this interrogation. Great, just great, Kate gasped playfully, raising her brow. Fine, more than great, Allison replied, smiling. She's been amazing. Aunt Kate sighed and hesitated for a moment before speaking. Let me tell you something, Allison. Your first love is usually great. She smirked at the word. But that's just it. It's your first love, and there will probably be more. Allison frowned, not liking where this is going. Are you saying Bella and I will break up? We just confessed to each other yesterday. No, that's not what I'm saying. Aunt Kate shook her head. What I'm saying is that staying together with your first love is rare. It's your first real relationship. And tough problems or challenges will be heading your way. But if neither of you sways under pressure, I'm sure yours and Bella's relationship will come out stronger because of it. I kind of understand, but what do you mean by challenges? Allison questioned, getting worried at her aunt's advice. It's nothing you need to worry about at the moment. Just remember that your parents and we accept and love you. Aunt Kate answered, and don't let people influence your decisions, especially when concerning your relationship. While she was confused, Allison still nodded in agreement. Sure, breakfast is done, Bella shouted from the bottom of the stairs. All right, Kate smirked, hopping off her bed. Enough of this, let's go and eat. Smiling, Allison followed, excited to see Bella. Which may have seemed odd, but they had not seen each other since last night. Good morning, Allison, her mom greeted. Morning, Mom, Allison replied absently, immediately looking for Bella. Then froze as she saw her girlfriend. What the hell happened to Bella? Bella was dressed in her usual black skinny jeans, blood-red tank top, stud earrings, and bracelet on her wrist. That's not what was surprising. What was surprising was the changes to Bella's body. Instead of pale skin, it now had some color while still looking pale, her hair while brown looked a shade darker. But the most significant changes of all were her increased height and curves. Wow, I thought she was beautiful before, but now Allison stared at her girlfriend's assets. Then glanced down at her own. Will mine grow like that? Are you all right, Allison? She heard Bella ask. I'm fine, are you okay? Blurted out Allison before she could stop herself. I'm an idiot, why did I do that? I'm fine, Bella replied, her face scrunched up adorably in confusion. Allison just smiled and kissed her girlfriend, getting the familiar scent of smoke and something else she still couldn't place. The smoke she knew was from Bella's habits, while the other fragrance was one Allison had never come across before. Not only that, it kept getting stronger. A week earlier, it was faint to almost non-existent, but now, breaking the kiss, Allison laid her head on Bella's shoulder, enjoying the relaxing atmosphere. Hey, Bella, what perfume do you use? None, I've never liked the smell. Though on you, I don't have a problem with it. Bella replied, sitting down and pulling Allison onto her lap. So it is natural, Allison thought, intrigued. Why do you ask? Bella said, gently rubbing circles on Allison's leg. No reason, Allison smiled, leaning back, enjoying Bella's fingers. Comfortable, Aunt Kate teased, sitting down next to them. Very, Allison smirked, grabbing some food for Bella and her from the table. You two better hurry up. Otherwise you'll be late for class, Victoria said, taking a sip of wine. Allison choked a bit on her crepe and checked the time. Damn it, she hissed, then shoved the rest of the crepe in her mouth. All right, I'm ready. How about you, Bella? Rolling her eyes fondly, Bella rolled up a few crepes up to go and, surprisingly, lifted Allison in a princess carry. Well, be going now. See you tonight, girls, Aunt Kate said with a little wave. Barely hearing her aunt, Allison enjoyed the feeling of being carried by her girlfriend. I didn't know you were strong enough to pick me up like this. Neither did I, Bella admitted with a rueful shrug. All right, ride's over. You can't drive us to school on my lap. Fine, Allison sighed, getting into the car. We could always try to if you want. Allison, 15 minutes later. Bella pav. I'm not looking forward to this. Bella groaned, closing her locker. Not looking forward to what? Allison asked, also closing her locker. Allison, there you are, I've been trying to contact you since yesterday. Lydia Martin shouted, annoyed, Jackson trailing behind her on his phone. Lydia, Allison mouthed to Bella. Bella shook her head and pointed to Scott, who was taking peeks at Allison from behind his locker door. Oh, Allison nodded. You know, I think I should go talk to him. Why? Bella asked, annoyed. Like hell, I'll let my Allison near Scott. I can practically smell the what the. Hundreds of different smells assaulted her nose, causing her to cover her mouth in disgust. What is going on here? Because Bella, are you all right? Allison asked anxiously. Catching Allison's scent, Bella immediately noticed how nice it was compared to all the others. Leaning forward, she buried her head in Allison's chest and breathed deeply. This is so much better. She thought happily. Are you done ignoring me now? Lydia demanded, tapping her foot. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Allison winced. I completely forgot you were there. What were you saying? Lydia rolled her eyes. I was saying that. She frowned, then turned to Jackson. What was I saying, Jackson? She wants to invite both of you to study for the test, Jackson grumbled. Closing his phone. Thank you, Jackson. Lydia smiled. Test? What test? Allison questioned. The algebra one, you know. We were told about it. Wait, you two weren't here. Great, just great. Allison sighed. Sure, I'll come, I need all the help I can get. Same. Bella agreed. Perfect, I'll see the two of you after class. Lydia giggled, then turned and walked away. Taking a few deep breaths, Bella attempted to control her nose. Okay, so far, so good. Bella, what's wrong? Taking a step back, Bella breathed, then chuckled happily. Nothing, my nose was just acting up. I'm fine now. Thank God it's over. I wonder what happened to me. Rin, the bell already? Allison frowned. Well, if anything happens, we can go to the nurse's office. MK. Bella bobbed her head in agreement. Come on, let's hurry. 7 hours later. Next time, let's bring our own lunch, Allison moaned dramatically, holding her stomach. Whatever that thing was that I ate. It was gross. Bella watched amused at her girlfriend's antics. And I suppose a cup of hot chocolate to go with it. Maybe. Allison shrugged. A soda would work too. Bella was about to reply when she spotted Scott watching them, or rather Allison, from a jeep. That's it. What is I? Bella smashed her lips against her girlfriend's before she could say anything else. I should have done this the first day we got here. What was that for? Allison huffed. What, you didn't enjoy it? Bella raised an eyebrow. Allison looked down at the floor and grumbled. I did, a little too much. That's the problem. Laughing, Bella wrapped her arm around Allison's waist, then walked away. Though not before glancing at Scott, who had a heartbroken, kicked dog sort of look on his face. That should do it. Now. Everyone will know that my Allison is taken. Bella's eyes flashed a fiery red as she smirked. Did you bite my lip? Allison gasped, looking in the mirror inside the car. Sorry about that. I guess I was a little too rough. Bella winced. Why did I act like that back there? I mean, I know I don't like Scott. But it was as if I wanted to claim Allison to show she was mine. As soon Bella had that thought, a wave of pain hit her. Screaming, Bella's back arched as the burning pain shot through her, then nothing. Allison Pav. Bella, Allison screamed, stopping her car. Reaching over, she started shaking her trembling girlfriend from her seat. No, answer me, Bella. Her eyes misty, Allison opened up her phone and called her the first person on the list. Hello, Allison shouted as she heard the click noise of someone picking up. It's Bella, I don't know. Something happened to her. Wow, Allison, calm down. Her Aunt Kate said in a soothing voice. What's happened to Bella? We were just talking, on our way to Lydia's. When her face paled as if she was in pain. Less than a second after that, she started convulsing. Allison glanced worriedly at her girlfriend. Oh my God, she's trembling. What do I do, Aunt Kate? Get her to the hospital. I'll be right over. Allison nodded before realizing her aunt couldn't see that. Okay, I'll meet you there. 2 hours later, Allison paced back and forth in the hall in the hospital, biting her nails. Is Bella going to be okay? What is wrong with her in the first place? She's not dying, is she? Calm down, Allison, her Aunt Kate murmured calmly. I'm sure Bella's going to be fine. Hi, my name is Melissa McCall. Are you the family of Bella Swan? A woman asked, closing the door Bella was in behind her. Yes, both Allison and Kate said. Melissa nodded. So there's some good news and not exactly bad news. Just a bit worrying. What is it? Allison asked, holding back tears. She had been fine so far. But she knew it was only a matter of time before this all hit her and she broke down. Well, the good news is that there's nothing wrong with her. Melissa sighed. Ms. Swan is in perfect health. Allison almost collapsed from the relief she felt at the news, then stopped herself, remembering that there was more. If that's the good news, what's the worrying news? Aunt Kate questioned. Melissa hesitated. That's just it. Bella is in perfect health, and yet, she won't wake up. It's not a coma, either. We've never come across anything like this before. Is there nothing you can do? Allison asked, her voice cracking. Melissa shook her head sadly. I'm sorry. At this point, all that's left is for her to wake up naturally. With those words, the tears Allison had managed to hold back until now, burst out and streamed down her face. Bella Pav. Hearing tears, Bella shot up from the hospital bed, her eyes glowing a fiery red. Allison, 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 Allison. Her mind chanted, alternating between two voices. Grabbing the door handle, she tried to open the door and ripped it clean off its hinges, shocking all the people outside. Bella, Allison whispered, shocked, wiping her eyes. Taking a few steps forward, Bella stared at Allison, allowing then to see her eyes. What the hell? Kate coughed. Bella took a deep breath, smelling Allison's familiar scent. Before falling unconscious into her girlfriend's lap. 1 hour later, Kate Pav. You said Bella's eyes were red? Her brother asked, frowning. Yes, Chris. Kate rolled her eyes. For the last time, her eyes were red. This may be a problem. Victoria frowned. Kate narrowed her eyes. I'm all for killing the supernatural. But this is different, it's Bella. Your daughter and my niece's girlfriend. That is not what I meant. Victoria snapped. Bella is a part of this family, and we are not killing her. No matter what she is. I believe that is something we can all agree on. Both Kate and Chris nodded in agreement. Victoria relaxed a little at their actions. Good. She paused and downed the rest of her wine. The problem is Gerard is coming soon. Fuck, Kate hissed. She had forgotten all about that. And to think, I was just warning Allison about him this morning. Though she didn't tell Allison directly, her father coming to visit was one of the reasons she returned. He had very strict views. And when he finds out, Allison is dating a girl, Kate grimaced. This is not going to be good. Chris rubbed his eyes. Dad is not going to be happy. Especially since Allison's with Bella. Dad's no doubt going to hate her. He'll probably blame Bella for there not being a new generation of Argents. Kate smirked amused. It's not funny, Kate. Victoria admonished. Kate shrugged. That's better than him finding out she's supernatural and killing her. Chris sat up and frowned. About that, do either of you know about any red-eyed supernatural creatures? I thought she was an alpha werewolf. Thankfully she wasn't and had no reaction to Silver. Kate said, relieved. Anything else? Actually, yes. Kate missed thoughtfully. Her eyes while red was a shade I've never seen before. Not only that, I felt as if I was looking at a flame. I may have an idea but it will be a while before I can confirm it. Chris said after a moment of silence. Very well, then, Victoria acknowledged. Now, do either of you know why I got a call today about Allison and Bella skipping school yesterday? Allison Pav. Come on, Allison, you're worrying too much. Lydia groaned, sitting down on the seat next to her. Bella will be fine. I'm sure she'll wake up any day now. Allison tried and failed to smile at her friend's attempts to lift her spirits. She hadn't been able to smile since Bella had been hospitalized the week prior. That and she hadn't actually left the hospital since Bella was put there. Strike. Jackson smirked smugly, which was why Lydia and Jackson had dragged her out to go bowling. Trying to help get her mind off of Bella. Okay, Allison sighed, grabbing a bowling ball off the rack. But only for a little bit. Then it's right back to the hospital. Lydia smiled. Alright, let's get this ga. She stopped. Getting a notification on her phone. Oh, my god, what is it? Allison demanded, dropping the ball to the floor. Did something happen to Bella? It's not Bella, Lydia answered quickly. It's Scott and Styles. Oh, Allison replied, relieved. Thank God. Later again. The nurse did say Bella was in perfect health. Nothing should happen to her. I'm probably just being paranoid. What did they do? Asked Jackson. They broke into the school. Lydia shook her head in disbelief. Of all the stupid things they could do, Allison couldn't help but agree. Why would they do that? Jackson scoffed. Who cares what those two idiots were doing? Lydia looked as if she was going to say something but stopped. You're right, Jackson, let's just enjoy the game. Bella Pav. What's going on? Bella pushed herself up into a sitting position and started rubbing her eyes. Am I in a hospital? And as if to confirm her suspicions, a nurse walked into her room, staring down at some papers. Not noticing the now awake Bella watching her. Excuse me, Bella croaked, her throat dry. Head snapping up, the nurse stared at Bella, then smiled. You're awake? Yeah, Bella nodded slowly, confused. Is there a problem? Not at all. She waved away the concern. It's just no one could figure out what was wrong with you, or if you would ever wake up. Bella paled slightly. How long has it been? Please tell me it's not been years. It's been about a week. Thank God, Bella muttered, relieved. I doubt Allison would wait years. Allison. Before Bella could ask about her girlfriend, the nurse started to speak. Now, while we can't hold you here now that you're awake, I'd like you to check up sometime in the next couple of weeks. To make sure you have a clean bill of health and all. Sure, no problem. Bella nodded quickly, then read the name tag on the nurse's shirt. Can I leave now, Anne? I want to see my girlfriend. Chuckling, Anne nodded. I'm sure you do. Let me tell you that girl of yours has stayed here pretty much the entire time you were unconscious. In fact, the only reason she's not here now is because of those friends of hers. They had to almost drag her away so they could go do something. Bella smiled, happy to know Allison was fine. So, I'm all good to go. This is great, maybe I can make it home before Allison gets there. As if she doesn't return to the hospital first. Anne smiled. Let's go get you checked out. 30 minutes later, finally done with the paperwork, Bella, now dresser on her regular clothes, stepped out the hospital doors and realized she didn't have a ride anywhere. I probably should have called someone first before doing the paperwork. Sighing, she pulled out her phone, then placed it back in her pocket as a familiar car pulled up. Bella, Kate greeted with a smile. Come on and get in. Kate, Bella replied, surprised but listened anyway. How did you know I was out? Kate raised an eyebrow. The hospital called. You didn't think they would let you go without alerting your family, did you? Bella smiled, feeling a warmth come over her at being considered family. To be honest, I didn't think of that. Well, they did, smirked Kate. Now come on, let's get you into Allison's bed. It will be a nice surprise for her to see when she walks in. Why her bed? Bella asked, her brow raised. Kate's smirk widened. Because I was once a teenager too. I know both of you will want privacy as soon as you see each other. Blushing, Bella looked away from Kate, trying and failing to hide her red face. It's too bad I can't use any of those protection jokes I've been saving. Oh, please let this end. Bella thought to herself as she hung her head embarrassedly. Allison Pav, why can't I stay at the hospital with Bella? Allison demanded in annoyance. Once bowling was over, Allison had planned on stopping home to pick up a change of clothes. Then head on back to Bella until her parents stopped her. Something's come up. Her mom smiled, glancing upstairs. What? Allison frowned. Calm down, Allison, Bella's fine. She's in perfect health. It's probably something else. Oh, this is a waste of time. Aunt Kate sighed. You'll see the surprise when you get to your room. What is up with them? Nodding her head, Allison walked past Kate and her oddly acting parents up to her room. Swinging the door open, Allison searched for the surprise. Let's see, my bed, laptop, desk, books, bathroom, and Bella. Allison felt her jaw drop at the sight of her girlfriend standing in the middle of her room. Awake and no longer unconscious in the hospital. Why, you're up, and here. Wait, why aren't you at the hospital? Bella laughed and pulled her in for a hug, causing Allison to smile. For the first time since her girlfriend was hospitalized. I woke up almost an hour ago, and once I was done signing my release forms, Kate picked me up. No wonder why they didn't want me to go back to the hospital. Allison mumbled quietly, trying to avoid looking down Bella's shirt. Smirking, Bella lifted Allison's head with her finger, then brought their lips together, causing Allison's mind to go blank. Pulling back a little, the two girls breathed, catching their breath for a moment, then slammed their lips back together for another kiss. Feeling herself be pushed onto the bed, Allison looked at Bella. Then shivered at her girlfriend's lust-filled gaze. Are we finally going to have sex? No, we're not. Bella chuckled, her voice thick with desire. Why not? Allison whined. Then, she blushed when she realized what she did. I never whine like that, why the hell did I now? Sniffing the air, Bella's eyes widened, then she grinned. Amusement written all over her face as she looked down at Allison. What is it? Allison blushed, stammering slightly. Why is she looking at me like that? I'm reasonably sure I can smell your arousal. Allison subconsciously crossed her legs as she gaped at Bella. What? No, wait, how is that possible? Unnoticed by Allison, Bella's eyes flashed red as she smirked. Not sure, but I must say. You smell fantastic. Face burning, Allison roll. D over and wrapped a pillow over her head. I have no idea how to respond to that. Although she was embarrassed, Allison couldn't help but smile as she felt Bella climb into her bed and wrap her arms around her waist. When we do have sex, I'm going to make it absolutely unforgettable. Not an emotional romp after getting out of the hospital. Bella whispered quietly in her ear. Allison took the pillow off and buried her head in Bella's shoulder. I love you too, she heard Bella whisper back. With that, the two girls fell asleep. Bella Pav. Walking up to the feeling of Allison resting in her arms was one that Bella, while unused to, wanted to feel again in the future. Preferably every morning if she could. Now to find out what happens to me. Yesterday, while late driver her back home, she had told Bella that Chris had possibly discovered what she was. However, it was decided they would talk about it in the morning. Slipping off the bed as quietly as she could, Bella left Allison's room and went to her own. Hopefully, I can take a shower and change before Allison wakes up. 15 minutes later, one shower and a change of clothes later, Bella was rushing back to Allison's room and saw her girlfriend sitting up in bed. Good morning, Allison, Bella greeted with a kiss. Allison replied, still half asleep. Smiling softly, Bella picked up Allison and carried her down the stairs into the living room. Did you tire her out that much? Kate asked, smirking from her spot on the couch. No, Bella denied. You know we didn't do anything. I will not blush, I will not blush. She chanted in her head. Bella, Allison moaned out. Bella's face went from pale to red in record time. Not able to hold back her blush at Allison's words. Ha ha ha, Kate laughed, just as Chris and Victoria entered the room. With Chris holding a small folder in his hand. Sitting down on the couch, Bella leaned her head down to whisper in Allison's ear. Allison, come on. You need to wake up, sweetheart. Allison opened her eyes lazily and stared at Bella, amused. Sweetheart, Bella shrugged. I know it's not the best. But I will find a nickname for you. Click, that's going on the wall. Kate grinned, a camera in her hands. Aunt Kate, Allison shouted, then turned to Bella when she realized where they were. Why did you carry me down here, Bella? I wanted to let you sleep. That and I enjoy holding you. Bella thought to herself, her grip tightening around Allison's waist. Well, I enjoy sitting here, Allison smirked, leaning back against Bella's breasts while on her lap. If you're done flirting, Chris sighed, waving the folder in his hand. Right, Bella coughed. So, what am I? Chris frowned and opened the folder. Now I'm not entirely sure, but by what you've shown so far, well. You're a hellhound, or at least, you're being possessed by one. I'm what? Bella asked, confused. What's a hellhound? A dog? Wait a second, what do you mean she's possessed? Allison asked worriedly. Thank you, Allison. Bella mentally thanked her girlfriend for asking her question for her. Chris sighed and downed his glass of whatever alcohol he was drinking. Let me rephrase that. According to everything I could find, hellhounds are supernatural spirits that possess humans to complete whatever task they need to do. So, I'm being possessed. Bella frowned, not Lee. King the idea of being unable to control her own body. Chris frowned. Possibly, you could be something else. These are only my suspicions. What are the signs? Kate asked, glancing hurriedly at Bella. Reddish-orange eyes. Their skin can turn a molten black, and the hellhound's spirit can only take over its human host at night, Chris answered, calmly. If you knew that, why did you let Bella and Allison stay in the same room? Victoria asked angrily. Chris glanced at his wife, then stood up. Because while I think Bella is a hellhound, I don't think she's a normal one. What do you mean? Victoria questioned. Kate, Chris turned to his sister. When you saw Bella's eyes turn red at the hospital, did she look aggressive? No. Kate shook her head, confused. But what does that have to do with anything? Chris started to pace across the living room. Maybe everything. Hellhounds are apparently neutral when it comes to humans and the supernatural. What matters most to them is their task. So if the hellhound possessed Bella, and since it was night when she was brought into the hospital, why did hellhound Bella look for Allison? Exactly. Chris smiled. Bella looked between Chris, Victoria, and Kate. They forgot Allison, and I are here, didn't they? Victoria frowned. That could mean anything. True. Chris nodded. But I have a way to test it. Hellhounds are immune to fire, and in theory, so should Bella. Feeling Allison tense at Chris's words, Bella started to stroke her girlfriend's arm, helping her unwind and focus on the conversation. Kate narrowed her eyes. There's more to it than that. Chris paused for a moment but nodded. While hellhounds are immune to fire, it also makes them shift to their hellhound form, which can't happen in the day. Bella sighed. Enough of this. Let's just try it. At most, I'll get a burn. Moving Allison off her lap, Bella made her way to the fireplace. I really don't want to do this, but if I am a hellhound, it's better to find out now. With that thought, Bella plunged her hand into the fire and nothing happened. Bella, Allison asked quietly, now standing next to her. Are you okay? I feel fine, Bella replied, feeling a little unsure. It doesn't hurt. The flames actually feel kind of nice. Allison paused. As Bella turned her head, Allison couldn't help but gasp. Bella's eyes were a deep fiery red, reminding Allison of molten lava. Yet her face, while still the same white, had orange cracks all over and looked to be glowing. Bella, Allison questioned hesitantly. This is Bella, please don't be possessed. Yay, is there something wrong? Bella frowned. Incredible, her dad breathed. Allison, on the other hand, just smiled, relieved it was her girlfriend and not a spirit. How is this possible, Chris? Aunt Kate asked, not taking her eyes off of Bella. She's a hellhound, isn't she? Her mom stated. In a way, Dad chuckled, grabbing a drink. While Bella looks to be a hellhound, she isn't being possessed. How's that possible? Bella questioned, her face now normal along with her usual brown eyes that Allison loved. I don't know. Bella paused. So I'm a hellhound. Bella mused thoughtfully to herself, sitting on the porch steps. After sticking her hand in the fire and learning of her new status and ability, Bella had walked out the door and sat on the porch steps. Her thoughts chaos as questions popped up in her mind. Is Charlie even my dad? No, unless I'm adopted. I'm pretty sure he is. Maybe I was turned. Could that even happen without me noticing? Who knows, maybe the Cullens knew who I was. And that's why they approached the plain Jane girl. No, Alice would have told me if I wasn't human. The news that she wasn't human probably shouldn't have surprised Bella as much as it did. She had always been a danger magnet. But now knowing she wasn't human, well, it opened up a lot of questions she couldn't decide if she wanted to know the answer to. This is so fucked up. Bella chuckled, running a hand through her hair. The chances of meeting a girl, falling in love with said girl, then finding out the girl's family were hunters of the supernatural. Well, that was an odd coincidence. Especially after having dated a vampire almost a year prior. However, discovering that she was a supernatural being herself after believing she was human her whole life, that was just absurd. Thank God for Allison, Bella breathed out softly. She wasn't sure what would have happened if she'd had to do this on her own. Thankfully, Bella had her girlfriend and her girlfriend's family with her. Is my niece that good in bed? Kate strode onto the porch with a smirk. I must say I didn't expect that. Hey, Kate, Bella mumbled, blushing as she attempted and failing to hold back the image Kate's words provided. You too are you smoking? Kate blinked, surprised. Damn, I didn't even notice. When the hell did I light it anyway? Yeah, it's the one thing I couldn't give up. Bella huffed, blowing out a smoke ring. Liquor, while not easy to stop, was doable. Smoking, on the other hand. Kate surprisingly nodded her head. I know exactly what you mean. You do, Bella blurted out, surprised. What does she mean by that? Did she used to smoke or something? Actually, that would make sense. She's in her 30s. She probably tried smoking at least once in her life. Yay, Kate laughed bitterly. Personally, I can't live without a good bottle of scotch. Occasionally though, I'll have a bit of gin. Bella frowned at Kate's tone. Is something wrong? Kate paused, then smiled brightly. One Bella could tell was fake. Nothing that concerns you. Kate shrugged. Okay. Bella nodded, watching as the smoke vanished into the sky. If you ever need to talk to someone, I'm literally a few doors down from you. Kate smirked. I'll make sure to keep that in mind. But enough about me. How are you feeling? Fantastic. Bella rolled her eyes, blowing out some more smoke. My mind's a.m.s. I have all these questions with no one to answer them. For example, I don't know if my dad's actually my dad. I'm no longer human if I ever was at all. Oh, and did I forget to mention I live with my girlfriend as well as her family who hunt supernatural creatures. At least your life won't ever be boring. Kate shrugged. It could be far worse. You could have been a werewolf. Bella froze for a second before turning to look at Kate. What would have happened if I was a werewolf? I'd rather not answer that, Bella. Okay, then, Bella winced. Glad I'm not a werewolf. Kate threw her head back and laughed. Oh, gee God, my stomach. Kate wiped a tear from her eye as she calmed down. I'm joking, Bella, though in all seriousness, if you were a werewolf, I wouldn't have killed you, but I would have made sure you and Allison broke up and probably shipped you back to Charlie. Why? Bella asked, trying to keep how hurt she felt out of her voice. While Bella knew she wasn't a werewolf, the fact that Kate had already thought everything through and would have broken her and Allison up hurt. She had come to think of Kate as family in the little time they had gotten to know each other. Then again, that might be her problem. Bella had thought of the Cullens as family rather quickly as well. Because, Kate trailed off with a sigh. There are many reasons, but the biggest would have to be almost 1,000 years ago. Back then, there were no hunters. Vampires, werewolves, berserkers, werejagars, K-animas, they all just ran free. No fear killing humans left and right. The only anger they ever faced was when they attacked or got attacked by their fellow supernatural. Humans, depending on the supernatural, were nothing but food or a toy to play with to pass the time. What changed? Bella asked curiously, fascinated by what Kate was telling her. Fire and silver for one, Kate smirked. After learning that the creatures had a weakness, humans became less afraid and fought back. Not that they hadn't in the past. But now, when they swung their silver blades and shot their bows, it did damage to any supernatural attacking. Is that how the hunters came about? Yes and no. Because humans fought back and could kill, the supernatural creatures went into hiding. Only occasionally attacking or turning others to grow their numbers. Kate sneered in disgust. Fast forward centuries later, and the supernatural became nothing but a tale to tell around the campfire. Stories and myths mothers told their children so they wouldn't get out of bed. However, not everyone forgot. A few families, the Argents being one of them, remembered the past, always keeping an eye out for any supernatural creatures living among them. Now the council, Bella interrupted. Right, forgot to explain about them. Kate chuckled. The council is made up of one person from each family of hunters. Usually, the matriarch of the family, though there have been exceptions. Bella iced a brow and glanced back at the house. So Victoria's on the council. She leads it. What? In order to understand that, let me explain more about the council. You see, the person who created the council was a man named Henri Argent along with his wife, Marie. They were the first real Argent hunters, Henri learning the weaknesses and herbs to use against the supernatural. With Marie being the hunter, she ended up slaying the most famous and vicious werewolf in history, the Beast of Gévaudan. Kate smiled, happy to be explaining about her family history. That started the legend of the Argents. And to help combat the supernatural, they created the council, gathering all the hunter families together. From there on, the Argents have almost always led the council. The only time they haven't was when they didn't want to, choosing to hunt instead. Kate took a deep breath and continued, looking a little uncomfortable. I was one of the Argents who turned down the position. That's why Victoria is on the council. Plus, it helps she's married to Chris and now the matriarch of our family. Bella frowned, something occurring to her as she listened. Are there laws? I know the vampires have some. You mean the Volturi? Kate grimaced, before mumbling. Lesser of two evils, my ass. Yay, the Cullens explained a little about them, how they enforced the vampire law and made sure not to expose themselves. Sighing, Kate nodded. Hunters do have something like that. It's called the Code. Nous chassons ceux qui nous chassent. The translation being, we hunt those who hunt us. We hunt those who hunt us, huh? Bella asked. Does that mean you only hunt the supernatural who attack you? Kate shifted, looking a little uncomfortable. Yes, if we find peaceful supernatural, usually shifters, we leave them alone, like the ones in Forks. And before you ask, Kate continued, cold ones are usually the exception. The Volturi typically keep the rest of the vampires in line. The only reason we did anything in Forks was because of how dangerous they are and because you're Allison's girlfriend. Aren't all the supernatural dangerous? Not like them. Kate shivered. Unlike other supernatural, they have a unique skill or pull, if you will. Every single one of them has it. I'm sure you've felt it before. Fascination, attraction, and if in their presence long enough, the inability to say no to anything they ask. It's like a drug that will cause you to go into withdrawal when out of their presence long enough. That sounds like Bella's mind flashed back to her birthday and being unable to refuse, as well as her stint as a zombie. A wave of anger going through her as Kate nailed every symptom Bella had before and after the Cullens left. I talked to Charlie, Kate said, placing a hand on Bella's arm, breaking her from her thoughts. I just wanted you to know that you're not alone. I went through the same thing. Bella stared incredulously at Kate. You dated a cold one. Expressionless, Kate shook her head, a dark look entering her eyes. Not exactly. Let's just say I went through the withdrawal period, and learned firsthand how dangerous vampires could truly be. Bella looked down to see a text message from Allison. Allison, could you come upstairs to my room, Bella? Bella. Okay, just a sec. Hey, Kate, I gotta go. Allison wants to speak to me about something. Bella said, before standing up and heading to the door. No problem, we can talk more about this another time. One last question before I go. Were hellhounds hunted as well? Bella asked a little nervously. Kate frowned. I'm not exactly sure. According to Chris's file, they might have been. However, the file also said that hellhounds possess their hosts. So even if a hunter managed to kill the host, the spirit of the hellhound should be able to move on. In my opinion, it would be completely pointless, especially with them being neutral. What about me? That I don't know. Hopefully, Chris can find some more information. Grinning, Bella stood up. That would be great. Anyway, thanks for the history lesson, Kate. See you later. Wait, Bella, Kate said quickly. Edward, he was your boyfriend, right? Bella turned to look back at Kate, confused. Yay, what about it? He never touched you or anything, did he? No, Bella shrugged. Actually, he tried to avoid touching me at all times. I was lucky if would let me hold his hand, let alone kiss him. Kate smiled, looking oddly relieved. That's good. Pocketing her phone, Bella left, heading up to Allison's room. I wonder why Kate was acting like that. It was kind of weird. Hey, Allison. Bella hopped on the bed and gave her girlfriend a quick kiss. What did you need me for? Allison smiled softly and leaned against Bella. Do I need a reason to see you? No, you don't. Bella returned the smile, wrapping her arms around her girlfriend's waist. And for the next few minutes, the two girls relaxed, enjoying the other's presence. So how do you feel about me being a hellhound? Bella questioned, breaking the comfortable silence that enveloped them. Well, I don't know. Allison's brows furrowed cutely. I haven't really thought about it. Quote, does it bother you? Bella asked, her finger tracing small circles on Allison's stomach. Allison paused, her eyes closing in thought. No, it doesn't, you're still my Bella. Nothing has changed other than you being immune to fire. A pretty useful ability to have. Bella smiled dryly. What about my enhanced nose and how my appearance changes when I touch fire? That's minor. Allison shrugged, well as much as she could while laying back against Bella. Besides, it's not like fire is used all that much anyway. So all we have to do is avoid camping any events with fire if there are any. I doubt it in this town. You got it all figured out, don't you? Bella laughed softly, pressing a kiss to the side of Allison's head. Well, of course, Allison replied, causing both girls to laugh. Seriously, though, Bella. You're my girlfriend. I'm going to do everything I can to keep you safe. Bella raised a brow at that. Safe from what? I mean, I know there are werewolves. But that could be a danger to both of us, human or not. Allison held Bella's hand before turning over so they could be face to face. I spoke to Mom while you were out talking with Kate. She told me some stuff that got me kind of worried. What? About other hunters? Allison frowned. Apparently, if you're found to be supernatural, some may still hunt you. Code or not, it won't matter that you haven't attacked anyone either. Well, Bella smirked, mentally noting down what Allison had told her. I'm lucky you Argents are so accepting then. Kate Pav, how did your talk with Bella go? Her brother asked her as she walked in the door. Kate sighed as she sat down, placing a hand on her forehead. It went all right. I told her a bit about hunters and the history of the Argents. Including Dad. Chris raised his brow. Wincing, Kate shook her head. Haven't gotten that far yet. She needs to know soon. We also need to prepare her for when Dad comes. Chris downed his drink. If he finds out, she won't survive. Kate finished, ending the conversation as she poured herself a glass beer. Fuck, I shouldn't be feeling so guilty. It's not like I'm going to be killing Bella. But you would have in Forks. A small part of her whispered. If you had discovered who she was before she started dating Allison. Before you got to know her, you would have killed her, breaking the code yet again. Downing her glass, Kate made her way upstairs to her room. Conflicted and unsure of where to go from here. While Kate usually did what her dad asked, often more and happy to help with whatever tasks she was assigned. Killing Bella wasn't one of them. A task she knew her dear father would give her, or maybe even Allison if he discovered Bella wasn't human. Sighing, Kate opened her laptop to start her research on hellhounds. Supernatural being or human, Bella's part of the family. Whether Dad likes it or not. The end.